Alrighty guys, welcome on into another 6 out of 10 podcast. My name as always is Tiny Pixels, and this week I'm trying desperately not to fangirl like crazy in the call. You guys will have heard our first... Do you know what? I'm going to put it on again. Where is my music player? I'm going to put it on again. You will have heard our dropping in music today by a certain wonderful artist that you will hear all over Twitch. It's not that. Why are you not playing it? There we go. I am the epitome of professional. As always. Guys, welcome on in. This week we are joined by the lovely, lovely Popski. I am trying desperately not to fangirl like crazy in the call right now. I really am. Let me bring these guys in, because as always, I'm joined by lovely, lovely Sam. Sam, how you doing, darling?
Oh, well, I'm deeply upset and emotionally torn, to be perfectly honest, because you're not fangirling over talking to me. Oh, no, just enough of that. Let's just come in here for one episode only. Don't worry about the guy that's here every bloody week. No, don't. Well, fuck him. No, that's fine. No, I'm fine. How are you?
Slightly less needy than you, apparently. And of course, as I say, this week we have lovely, lovely Popski with us, whose music you can hear in the background. Popski, how you doing, sweetie?
I'm so good.
Good. I'm really, really glad. I'm really, really glad. So, can you please tell our lovely, lovely listeners what it is you do? Because, as I say, I'm a huge fan. I always think that music is super, super important. And yours gets so much airtime on Twitch, just everywhere. Tell these lovely people what it is that you do.
Well, I am a producer of the chiptune variety. I like to cram my music down everybody's throats, so I make sure everybody plays it. I'm also a variety streamer here on Twitch. I try to go live every day, even though I sit in my bed most of the days and don't do anything.
I mean...
That's you and every other variety streamer, to be perfectly honest. It's a split between, do I stream today or just sit around in my pants?
Right.
Pants are quite tempting, you know. Like,
I mean, I'm super lucky because I tend to do both. I tend to just sit around in my pants and stream. Like, that's absolutely fine.
The style of streaming, right? Chest upwards and nothing more, and people don't need to know what's underneath the desk.
Yeah, as long as you don't stand up on camera, you are A-okay to go. And it's every variety streamer's dream, right? You sit there in your pants all day and you play video games. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But no, so you guys, you can find Popski's work. Well, you can find your streams over on twitch.tv/Popski with 2 Y's. That's right, yeah?
2 Y's, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And you have SoundCloud and things like that, yeah?
It's all Popski.
Yeah.
Popski.bandcamp, SoundCloud /Popski, everything.
Neat. Alrighty. And I honestly do... I don't want to sound awful, but yeah, no, you really do need to go listen to Popski's music because it's absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And chiptune is so useful to take with you everywhere. I take chiptune to the gym, and I find that it's so upbeat and friendly that I can deal with the gym.
Something about chiptune that it's just really it can be really bouncy, and that really helps with stuff like, you know, going to the gym. Because I'm an expert of going to the gym, of course, but you know, it helps with like any kind of upbeat sort of activities and stuff like that.
You make anything almost a video game at that point,
right?
Take the soundtrack with you, and everything's a video game now.
Yeah.
Just don't accidentally shuriken the person at the next treadmill over.
I mean, treadmills are scary enough. You don't need to add video game elements in there. They're terrifying enough as it is. Talking about video games, though, this is a video gaming podcast for you guys who don't know what we do.
Fuck, I've turned up the wrong place.
Okay, I'll just leave. It's fine. No, we do chat. We do chat video game news from the week. We chat new releases, and then we do tend to chat about a game that we've been playing this week that we really enjoyed. Actually, we've got some cracking ones this week, because I know Sam's, I haven't played it yet, but it looks great. Popski's recommendation, I've been playing the absolute living daylights out of. It's so good. And it's so funny. Good. And it's well written. It's beautiful. And mine, I accidentally threw a glass at my desk the other day because it made me so angry. So, let's talk about some video games, and let's start this week by talking about something that makes me endlessly angry. Sam, I think you're going to have to start us off this week because
from talking about things that made us really happy, and we're all upbeat, talking about how wonderful and empowering chiptune can be.
Positivity all the way around.
Basically, run this right. So CS:GO betting. We've got our lovely dear friends that ran the CS:GO Lotto site. They're being let off the hook, basically, in their entirety. The FTC in America have just basically gone, that's fine. Don't worry about that. So they're getting away with literally breaking advertising regulations. So as far as that, they were stating that this CS:GO Lotto site was not affiliated with them, and they were getting sponsored by that site to talk about that site, and they were winning money from this site by gambling CS:GO skins away, and it's nothing to do with us though. But they actually owned the site. They also are getting away with allowing underage people to gamble, because the technical definition of gambling is trading either money or goods in order to win or lose on a result, which this literally is. You are taking a virtual item and betting it. So no, that's fine. That doesn't count. So yeah, they're getting away scot-free with just scamming people. So that's Team Martin and Syndicate, two particular cantankerous arseholes.
Wasn't there another one? There was
those were the two named in the FTC case.
There were a couple, and there was one who did FIFA things as well over in the UK, and he was charged for that, I'm pretty sure. But the FTC have basically said that they've changed the regulations now, but that doesn't count for earlier. So
despite the fact it literally is the very definition of the thing that they were doing.
Yep. And
like we have a body in the UK, right? In the UK, we have something called the Gambling Commission in the UK, and I know this because I've worked in betting shops previously, and they literally exist in order to ensure that any gambling stuff is above board. Like it's carried out in the correct way and under the right rules and the right regulations and whatever else. And they've done fuck all. They have done fuck all to stop this in the UK, and it baffles me because they really, really get a hard on for like even the smallest infractions for traditional gambling stuff like casinos and betting shops and stuff like that, and online betting sites and whatever else. But they apparently don't give a fuck about people doing this, even though it is literally peddling and making appealing, I would say, to underage people to gamble, which is maddening.
I remember the video from, I think it was T Martin, where he goes, "Hey, we found this website," and that cripples me endlessly. Because
was it him or Syndicate that did the video after it all came out, where he's like sat around in like his fucking mansion, like stroking a dog?
That was T Martin, yeah.
Oh, was it T Martin just going, "We're really sorry we made loads of money, wankers." Fucking, my heart is aching with how much money we lost. Oh, let me just put my feet up on my Lamborghini. It's really, really, so upset. It's like you are so disingenuous, even after you've been caught out. You are still disingenuous. You are still acting as if you were in the right to perform this, despite the fact that you have been proven not to be. It's hideous.
I mean, can you understand how this has gone on? Like, I just don't see it. I don't get it.
I mean, I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, is this like a new thing that's been happening, or like because they could have just got a slap on the wrist because it's newer, maybe? I mean, gambling's been around for forever, but
for sure,
like
this, I think was a case last year that came up. And Twitch at the time said, okay, we will not allow you to stream CS:GO Lotto anymore. Any form of gambling of that nature, we will not allow you to stream it. Valve said, we're going to distance ourselves from this. We want nothing to do with it. It's wholly wrong, and we don't want it on our platform. And so from last year, these people have been being investigated. And as I say, it's Syndicate and T Martin owned the one side that we're talking about, this particular case with CSGO Lotto. And it turns out that the FTC wants to change, or has now changed, regulations on how this works. This brought to light a lot of people who don't disclose when they use affiliate links for Amazon. They don't disclose when they're advertising products that they're being sponsored for.
The hashtag you need to put in your fucking title as well. It is not like some grandiose thing. You don't need to put like a 15-page fucking document on there saying this is the terms of our agreement to sponsorship.
No,
you
hashtag ad.
make a tiny...
Or this is my affiliate link. I make money off of this link every time you buy something off it. Every time you post the link. Like, it's not difficult. But these two people who owned the site showed absolutely no remorse, and now the FTC is saying the regulations have changed and still need to be changing. But because they're only changing them now, these two people get away with everything that they've done.
And keep the money as well.
Yeah.
Like, they've literally stolen money from vulnerable people because minors that are allowed to engage in gambling are considered vulnerable people. They're not old enough to make those decisions and whatever else themselves. They've stolen money from vulnerable people, and they've gone, okay, well, you can't do it anymore, but carry on. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm just kind of disheartened by it, you know?
Does this not set a bit of a precedent of just, fuck it, do whatever you want? You'll get away with it. It's fine. Just you know, you'll have to be the first to do it.
It's just a mess. It's just a whole mess.
I don't...
As a community-based streamer, I think I'm allowed to say that. Like, I'm quite sort of community friendly. I love the people that I speak to on Twitter and who comes to my stream endlessly. I can't imagine doing that to them.
No, you build trust.
Yes.
That's what you do as a streamer. You trust that builds loyalty. It's why people come back and see you. But some people don't care about that, apparently. I don't know.
I mean, my gameplay is not going to hold any attention, so I mean, I've got to build it. I've got to build it elsewhere, and I just... Kirsty raises a really interesting point there, yeah. So, these regulatory boards, are they frightened of the internet, do we think?
I mean, I think they have a
lot
lack
of how to proceed with it?
I would say with a level of certainty they have no fucking clue how the internet works. If the UK government's anything to go by, the UK government are absolutely baffled as far as it's concerned. Like, for example, they wanted every single thing that every single user online to be logged. Like, every website you went to, every image you looked at, everything that you did. And ISPs have turned around and gone, yeah, that's physically impossible. Do you understand how much storage alone that we would need in order to do that? It's not feasible. Like, it's absolutely not feasible. And they've gone, well, we're going to pass it into law because it's something that we want. It's like they have no understanding of just the requirements and the needs, and it makes no sense. They don't pull in the correct sort of experts in order to give opinions that are actually taken on board and actioned. It just doesn't occur, and it's madness.
Yeah. I really hope that this gets looked at again. I really, really hope. I don't understand a lot of legal sort of. Oh, my words aren't great today. You can tell I was working till 5, can't you? I don't understand a lot of legal process. I don't understand whether things like this can be looked at again, but I really, really hope that they can. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of really interesting viewpoints coming across from a lot of the industry-based lawyers that we're seeing. And yeah, this really needs to be looked at again. It really needs to be looked at again, because this is still happening with things like FIFA's Ultimate Team Coin men kicking footballs thing. It's still happening with that. It's still happening with things like your knife giveaways. You look at places like Instagram. Instagram is super full of people who don't quite understand how kind of advertising works and things like that, and it's difficult for sure.
I mean, I'm still very strongly of the opinion that basic crate opening inside of CSGO is against gambling laws if allowed to be done by under 18s, which it is. That it is literally gambling. It's the literal definition of gambling. You are exchanging money in order to receive a chance of winning an item or money. That's what gambling means.
But we're seeing that everywhere now, aren't we? I mean, you look at what's being done with Shadow of War.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you're getting something for your money. It's guaranteed that you get something. With like regular gambling, you could lose it all.
Yeah,
you lose it all. So I think there's just like the gray area in between.
Well, because you're guaranteed a prize, it becomes more like a thing at a fucking carnival where you pay to like to have a lucky dip or throw a ball at some cans or something and maybe win a prize or something.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at Overwatch loot boxes. Even when you get duplicates, you get coins instead, and thankfully they're starting to rebalance those now so that you get. Well, they say you get less duplicates. I'm not entirely convinced that that's a thing, but they're telling us that we're getting less duplicates, so I'm likely to believe that.
I know they changed. I think they put into a law that like if you have something like that in your game in like China or something, you have to put the ratio of certain things,
which is a good idea.
Yeah,
like again with gambling machines in the UK, you have to put that. Like for like the virtual slot machines and stuff, you have to have that on there. That has to be somewhere within the. There's like usually a little button that takes you to like the win lines and whatever else. It's usually in there somewhere. They have to do that by law. Why aren't we spreading this across all disciplines? Yeah,
but no, this is an entire mess. It's actually horrendous, and the fact that children have been encouraged to spend and lose money.
That's potentially not even theirs in the first place.
Yeah, that's shocking, and I really do hope this gets looked at again, because that's. Yeah. Should we talk about something that makes us a little bit happier?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this a lot. Yeah. It's kind of the hopefully the dawn of a new age of.
I hope so.
Cross-platforming. So Killer Instinct is making its way to PC, but more importantly, making its way to Steam, and it will be cross-platforming with Xbox One and with the Windows app as well, the Microsoft Store on their own horrible, horrific app that barely works and kind of coughs and falls over half the time.
It's already on PC. It's just through the Windows 10 shop.
Yeah, the horrible store thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a free game, so how could you not?
True. Although don't you only get one character rotating?
Yeah, they rotate.
Yeah,
but if you have it on Xbox and you have all the characters, it'll go over to the
Oh, does it? Oh, that's useful.
Yeah. It's the cloud saves or whatever.
Yeah. They're basically the same console in inverted commas, effectively, aren't they? But yeah, so this opens an interesting door, I suppose, and because this is the first time that I am aware of direct compatibility between all three platforms in somewhat inverted commas, because Xbox One and the Windows Store app are almost the same platform at this stage, as far as Microsoft's concerned. Anyway, if it's on one, it's on the other almost every single time now. So hopefully this opens a door for more of this cross-compatibility, so you can play with other consoles and other markets and whatever else, because there was a problem a little while back with, I want to say, was it Advanced Warfare, where there was a Windows Store version of it that was suspiciously like £15-20 cheaper than the Steam version of it. And then it turns out when you get that game that you can only play with people that also had it on the Windows Store.
Yeah.
And it was the most bullshit, bogus thing. The amount of refunds they had for that were just horrendous. So, hopefully this is the start of just going, well, it doesn't really matter where you buy it. You can just play with people on whatever platform you're on and add friends and whatever. That'd be great.
That'd be super nice, though. That'd be really... There's nothing worse than having to go, yeah, but what platform do you have it on? And it's really unfortunate that recently Sony have gone, yeah, we're not really into doing crossplay. That hurts like mental. Because there's nothing worse. I mean, with Destiny at the moment, we're having to have that thing of where are you looking to get it? Because I'll have to get it on the same platform as.
Are you going to wait for PC to come out because PC is coming out later? So is it worth getting?
Or do I play it with PS4 because my friends are all playing it on PS4 right now, and being able to play together is actually a really magical thing.
Yeah, supposedly this is for like their next summer E3 stuff, like the Better Together. That's what they're calling it. So they're already starting to do this with like Minecraft and stuff, where the Windows 10 can play with Xbox and the Xbox can play with Switch and all that, and they all play with each other. And last I heard, Xbox is supposedly talking to Sony about like working together, but I don't really see it happening.
They've been talking a very, very long time back and forth.
Yeah.
Since like the previous gen, they've been talking about doing cross compatibility. So, and I honestly wonder where the Dragon of Heels is in that equation. Like, is it at Sony's end, or is it Microsoft trying to put some caveats in place that don't meld with the PS4 platform? Like, there's never really been anything that sort of expressly said this is why this doesn't happen, which I find kind of interesting.
I mean, recently we've had Sony, I'm sure, say that they are not looking to bring crossplay. But I as you say, I don't know if there was a reason given or anything like that. Not expressly.
I know Sony, like, with their Street Fighter V, that plays with the PC, but that's the only instance that I know of. That and Rocket League.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So they have no trouble going back and forth with Steam. So it must be, a chafing between Sony and Microsoft. That's the issue.
If you remember, I think on the PS3 for a little while they had Steam on it. Like, you could sign in through your Steam.
Oh, could you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember that.
It was like when it first came out. It was either PS2 or PS3, but I'm pretty sure it's PS3.
Yeah, that sounds like a PS3 thing. That's kind of telling. And again, like I.
Oh yeah, the Portal 2 thing, right?
Yes.
Right.
No, I'd love to see more of this, and it's nice to see Microsoft embracing this whole better together thing, right? Better connected, whichever one it is. It'll be nice to be able to not worry about what platforms people are on.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than it. It's bad enough with Blizzard servers. And I mean, you look at things like Warcraft now. Warcraft, when you sign in as an Alliance character or as a Horde character, you can get people in to play with you no matter what server they're on. So which is very interesting.
Like, technologically, that's very interesting how they even manage that. Like, that's
really exciting, because I always get told off for being on the wrong server.
Well, that's the bane of the MMO existence, isn't it? No matter what server you're on, like X% of your friends will be on this one, and this one, because of X people and won't want to move from them. So you always end up like split across so many different servers.
I feel like Rocket League kind of started this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like the first game that actually did it pretty well.
Well, it was such a breakout success as well, and it's pretty seamless. Like, after they got past the initial server issues, it's been pretty seamless.
Yeah. And Rocket League is one of those where I don't feel there's a huge skill difference between... I'm probably going to get crucified for saying it, but yeah, there's not a huge skill difference between controller and mouse and keyboard. Whereas for things like FPSs, there may well be.
Right.
I think you'd have to be mad to play Rocket League on a keyboard and mouse, but that's just me.
Playing an FPS on a shooter's... Or playing...
Rocket League keyboard and mouse would be madness, I think, but...
But then I used to play Rocket League with a mouse and keyboard, and that was how I was comfortable. I've always been a bit backwards, though. But I can't imagine, as you say, playing a shooter without a mouse and keyboard.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Even the thought makes me feel a little bit ill.
How people aim with a controller is beyond me. Even with aim assist on, I just feel like I'm some floating ballerina. Just kind of like gaily swiveling around in my own time. Don't worry about these 50 men barreling down towards me. That's my experience.
No, it's an odd one. And for you consider games like Overwatch that have a lot of character to, again, how their characters move, how their camera looks around, how their guns shoot. Like, there's got to be a skill gap, surely, between controller and mouse and keyboard.
Right.
There's got to be.
But on consoles, you'll, like, if you're on Xbox or PS4, they control the same, so...
Right.
That shouldn't be too much of a, like, hassle.
But switching between mouse and keyboard, I would feel bad playing against somebody at my skill level, but with a control... I'm not explaining this very well. Somebody who's as good as me at the game with a controller is actually going to be lots better than me. Because I hold a controller and I'm like a wet noodle. Like, I can't look in the right direction and I can't move in... And like, RPGs, like first-person narrative games and things, I understand how the controller works, but the fine motor kind of skills to be able to react that fast just aren't there.
Well, it's the same thing as, like, you know, mouse sensitivities and whatever else. Like, whenever perfect example, whenever Pip comes around mine and uses my mouse, she can't control it because I have my sensitivity up really high. And I'm super used to that. Pip isn't, and she just rockets off the screen and almost bursts out the side of it every time she tries to move the mouse.
I have to be able to move my entire arm to be able to use a mouse.
Yeah, she uses her mouse normally like CSGO players do, like just swiping everything off of the desk.
Yeah.
With every inch that she moves across the screen.
You have to be careful of my elbows as I'm playing video games. It's terrible. But these guys, when they play, you don't see their hand move. When these guys play video games, you just don't see their hand move. Whereas I have to be like all elbows and out everywhere. I'm like a gazelle trying to play video games.
That's part of the strat. You should go into esports. Just elbow the enemy team off. It'd be great.
Yep. So yeah, I worry in that regard with some genre of games that there is going to be a skill difference there because of the whole controller versus mouse and keyboard thing. But for other games, maybe not so much. For games that don't require you to have on-point reactions or whose control schemes work kind of evenly across both, it'd be really nice to not have to worry.
Yeah, and that's the argument for keeping stuff like aim assist on, or in games at all. And it frustrates me to no end because it's never well done when they port it to PC. Was it the last 2 Call of Duty games? If you moved around using the thumbstick on the controller, you got aim assist on your mouse if you used that to aim.
Okay.
I don't think they ever fixed it. I'm pretty sure they never fixed it.
Good. Yes. Wonderful. That's fair.
It's brilliant. Like, you see people playing and it's like you just move anywhere vaguely near his headshot every time. It's fun. So it's not even properly employed when they bother doing it.
It only applies to, like, first-person shooters, though.
True.
Yeah. I mean,
anything else is fine.
Yeah,
like fighters or racing.
Even down to stuff like Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know anybody who struggles or plays worse with a controller. I don't know anybody who struggles with X content because they're on a controller. I
can't imagine playing that on a controller.
You know some people that do.
I know people that do, but I still can't imagine it. I've watched people that do, and I still can't imagine it. Like, it just blows my mind.
Is it kind of like when Rudism uses a baguette and you kind of look at it and go, but how? But that's what?
Bunch of bananas.
Shots than I do, motherfucker. Like,
I think my favourite was the Mountain Dew soaked Doritos. That was my favourite controller that he's made so far.
Because the breakages.
So then he'd eat them and try and replace them. So good. But yeah, no, that's the only thing that I'd be worried about. But for me, honestly, being able to not worry about what platform my friends have would be great. That'd be super. Yep. And the more of this we see, the better. Honestly, this is a really super positive thing. And I kind of hope that Sony come round a little bit and they work out something. And I know that's a long shot, and I really do. But so many of my friends were wrong and went out and bought Xbox Ones. So
hate to see it happen to you.
Awful.
Enjoy your exclusive game.
I think if they don't do anything, I think we can just all yell at them and they'll
Good.
be like, yeah, okay.
Well,
whatever."
unfortunately, you can't downvote PS4 on Steam, so nothing will happen. That's that's the only way you get anything done.
Yeah.
Can we review bomb the PS4 now?
Hit them up on Amazon. That's it.
Oh.
Right, shall we roll on forward?
Let's crack
'Cause
on.
We're talking about current gen consoles, and this ties into that to some degree.
My favourite game.
You didn't like it, did you? Well, you're fucking wrong. So, LA Noire, one of my favourite games, actually. I really, really dug this. I don't know why.
I'll
but
put my
it
hands
just
up. I do need to try it again. The last
You
time
do.
it was spoiled for me, so I do need to
Okay,
try
yeah,
it again. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't help. But there's just something about the gameplay and the story, the way it built up, it really does. But LA Noire is coming to PS4 and Xbox One as a remastered version, so even shinier, and also to VR on the HTC Vive. I never remember
That's it. I'm
exactly.
gonna call
It's
it the Voove from
It's
now on.
Vive, the
Done.
Move.
Yeah.
When I first got shown one, they called it the Vive, and it's just stuck in my head ever since.
Oh, it's a vibe.
And that was the
Sorry.
person presenting me with the HTC Vive. But anyway, so-
you missed the important one.
and some fucking Nintendo tablet thing.
It's coming to the flat Nintendo.
It's coming to the Switch as well, which is
Not
pretty cool.
remastered.
First run.
Not remastered.
No, that's
They get
basically
the shaft. They get the shaft with it.
Yes, but it's not
and
that
presumably
bad
with the
looking.
premium for having it on a cart, which is about $10 extra.
Yeah, because they're 32 gig cards. They're expensive.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But it's just unfortunate that it's always a little bit more expensive on Switch because of that. But interestingly, yeah, they're doing it on the Vive by Vive. I'm gonna say it wrong continually.
Just call it the Voove all of the time now.
I say it wrong.
Just that's it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put my phone on vibrate and just kind of hold it near the mic. It'll be fine. So I did for that. It will be 7 sort of self-contained cases from the original game that they bring across. It's not the full game. It's select cases that are going to be across on that. But again, with like the upgraded, super duper remastered side of it, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen any shots from how it's remastered. The game looked pretty good, to be honest, for especially how old it is now. What, 3-4 years?
It's older than that.
Older than that?
I'll have a look.
Well, actually, yeah, it was probably
6 or 7.
I would imagine,
Okay.
actually.
LA Noire is 2011. The 17th of May, 2011.
There you go. So I remember getting it, and I couldn't quite stream it properly, and my account's not terribly much older than LA Noire coming out. So that's how I remember. But yeah, I what I want is LA Noire 2. I want more of this, but it's not going to happen because Team Bondi just collapsed in on itself like a fucking shouted at souffle, and that'll be it. And it's unfortunate. Like, I feel like Rockstar could just kind of go, in view of people liking LA Noire, we'll get some people that aren't working hideous overtime and being treated like slaves and get them to make it, and it'll be great.
Well, they're
But-
working on Red Dead and possibly Bully too. So
Oh, Bully 2, though. Yes.
I've got time for Bully 2.
Yeah. Bully 2.
I never
Um,
played Bully 1. So
So good.
am I fucking up? Am I fucking up there?
A little bit.
You are. You've
It's
missed
really
out on
good.
a
Okay.
chunk of childhood.
Genuinely, it's one of those that you kind of look at it and go, and you hear the premise and you go, and then you play it and you go, because it works. Yeah, it works. Like GTA, but in school, kind
Okay.
of doesn't.
But like half of the school is cops, and if
Yep.
you're not doing what you should be doing, then you have to run away from them. But you've got a chance of running away from them because they don't have guns. It's kind of.
Yep.
It's kind
if
of.
you can find a bicycle, you can also bicycle away from them. There are mini games to get girls to kiss you, from what I remember.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. And you can mow the grass,
Yeah.
which Sure, I remember that as well.
Yep. It just... yeah. Yeah.
We've really sold it to you, haven't we?
I'm just ready to mow the grass. That's all I'm
It's a super odd concept. It's kind of like every time I try and explain Pandora's Tower to somebody. And that's one of my favorite games, but I never do it any justice because it's so bizarre that you kind of like, well, it's this, but it does work, I promise. Like, I promise it works. And I think Ori 2 would be really
a lot of
good.
games are like that. If you put like some kind of marsupial that's been stuck in a go-kart and decides to go around really fast, but it's also a bit like the one with the plumber.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on that concept.
I can see it. Well, there's a Tasmanian tiger's family have been sent to another dimension by an angry emu. Use your boomerangs to get shiny rocks from turkeys in order to rescue them. I mean, like,
I'll be honest, I'm sold on that one.
Tasmanian Tiger is a wonderful game.
Please, just take.
Again, that's one that works. I feel like I just want the podcast now to be the worst explanation of games that I can find.
To be that hashtag on Twitter, right?
Feed your vegetarian girlfriend disgusting monster meat to stop her from becoming a slug.
The hell is that?
That's called Pandora's Tower, and it is the best Wii game ever. Hands down, flat out, it is the best Wii game ever. You are a man with a whip whose girlfriend is slowly being turned into a slug. So there's like a time element where you go into a dungeon, you find enough meat to stop her from becoming a slug, and you force it down her throat, and then you go back in the dungeon, you finish the dungeon, and you give her this like bigger piece of like brain or whatever to stop her from being cursed forever. So you hold off the curse until you get all of these brains in a row, and then you force your vegetarian girlfriend to eat them all, and then she's cured.
I need this.
It's genuinely wonderful. You can bring her stuff from the dungeons, and she will make you curtains and tablecloths out of them.
Can anyone in the chat back up these claims from Pip? Because to be honest, I think she's having a nervous breakdown.
Genuinely. I will link the game in chat because it's, as I say, a fucking wonderful game. It needed a better budget than it had. It desperately needed a better budget than it had, but that aside,
I can't.
There you go. Can confirm Pandora's Tower is in fact a Wii game.
Yes, there's a game called Pandora's Tower that does exist. Yes, I'll believe it that far. As far as feeding your vegetarian slug girlfriend meat, I'm not sure.
No, yes. Yeah, no. She turns into a slug and she gets really unhappy if you leave her for too long without bringing her meat back.
But she's vegetarian.
As I would too.
Yeah, their religion in the world that they've come from dictates that she's never eaten meat. So every time you feed her meat, she goes through this weird gagging cutscene.
Yeah, I'm playing that shit. That's happening.
I know how she feels.
I don't know. I can't find the right words, but it's my favourite Wii game.
This is going to be like your fucking story from like a few weeks ago about fanfic.
This one exists. I promise.
Right,
maybe
you did find a link this time at least.
Maybe, but this one actually exists. And it's wonderful, and I love it. Hands down, it's brilliant. Please buy it. You can buy it on the Wii U Virtual Store. It's A++. You can buy it as a Wii game for like next to no money. Go and buy it. It's wonderful. I love it.
I was going to say, because a tab of acid is about a tenner. So if it's about that price,
it's slightly more expensive than a tab of acid, but it'll last you longer. So that's not a problem.
Okay, got it.
I feel like we've strayed.
Strayed a tad from LA Noire.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, from the 1940s, containing no slugs. As far as I'm aware, no vegetarians.
I'm so sorry, but
I like LA Noire, and now here we are talking about a fucking slug princess.
Like, she's the best slug princess. You leave her alone. She makes tablecloths and curtains to stop you from being sad, okay? She's the best.
Okay.
Oh, one of these days I'm gonna stream it on this channel and just be like, okay, you want to see slug women? Let's go, and it's gonna be fabulous. But yes, Let's Be Cops 1950s it was a bit draggy for me, but I think with a remaster, especially on the Switch, actually, if it's on the Switch, I will probably give it another go.
It definitely starts slow. The training missions are kind of a bit poo. But once you get into the proper thing, like you get your first promotion after the training missions and get into like the proper cases, and it actually becomes deductions and skill based and trying to read people and stuff like that.
Right.
Are they adding anything to it? Are they adding like any cases or anything?
As far as I'm aware, no, it's just shinier. Upgraded. Got the graphics, very nice. I
wonder if PC's getting a update at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Like, they're putting it up to 4K on the other platforms. Why wouldn't they? Oh, there you go. Windows PC version. Oh no, that's the original one. So now nothing stated about it so far, but it'd be nice to get the option. And the fact that they're doing the VR version as well, like, you think, well, they're touching the PC code for it. So while they're there, why don't they just have a mess around and actually throw it in there? But hey ho.
Hopefully this means that either we're getting more remasters of cool stuff, or we're getting sequels of cool stuff, or we're getting sequels of this. That would be nice.
Whoa. I want a sequel.
Of course you do.
I want to be the dickhead vice guy and run around slapping prostitutes. That's.
Oh God. Should we move away from that and onto gun crime instead?
Well, it's not quite gun crime. I've never seen anyone get arrested for shooting another person in PUBG, but
no, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
So I
don't like this one either.
No, neither do I, to be honest. But it's pretty impressive, which is why it kind of comes up. PUBG have sold 10 million plus copies now. Like 10% of them play concurrently. They tipped over 1 million concurrent players over the past couple of days, and that's mental.
That's insane.
That's more than any other game on Steam. More than Dota 2, which have these enormous world championships, like every other fucking week. It feels like.
Yeah.
That's mad.
It was super interesting as well to see it take over in front of CSGO, in front of Hearthstone on Twitch, and at one point it was in front of League on Twitch, and that is unheard of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If we're looking at it now, there are over 181,000 people watching League and over 160,000 people playing or watching PUBG. That's close. That's really close, considering.
Closer than anything else has really come, other than like on launch days, and
then they disappear again.
Yeah.
Because like Dota 2 will overtake them for like when there's an event on and there isn't for League. But other than that, they won't really overtake typically.
Yeah, I mean, Star Ladder. Is it called Star Ladder? I always forget. I'm not the biggest fan of Dota. It's too complex for my MOBA needs. I'm a HOTS in a League kind of girl. So whenever that's on, Dota creeps back up again. But Dota's been falling away. Yeah, it's super interesting to see as well how this one has done well, considering the failures of the other Battle Royale games that we've had.
Before. But then, if there's anyone to make a Battle Royale game, the dude that has like made a lot of Battle Royale games and made mods for other games to include Battle Royales and whatever, he's probably the bloke that you'd ask to get it done.
Right.
He's definitely, I would say, he's arguably the most experienced Battle Royale type person out there, really.
Well, he was the one working with Sony Online, I'm pretty sure, with the H1C1 Battle Royale.
Yeah, he did. I think he did some of the King of the Kill stuff for them. Question mark.
And he didn't like it, so he was like, "Fuck this! I'm making my own."
Pretty much. Took his football and went home. I think is.
And to be fair, you can see the lessons that he's learned, and he's put those into practice. Because while I'm not a big fan of Battle Royale games, it is literally only because I have potato aim. I genuinely have so much respect for the way that this game has been designed.
It's a good
Also,
game.
the dude who made it is a nice guy. He's actually a really, really nice lad, which is a bonus.
And they listen to like the community and stuff, which is
Which
really
is a
nice.
big thing. Yeah. Because you look at things like, oh gosh, my brain's just died. The one that there was a Battle Royale game that was in early access, and it kind of felt almost a bit Borderlandsy in the tutorial, and then you actually played it, and it wasn't. It lacked all kind of character, and they changed it massively, and the player base just dropped off because they refused to listen to the community about how to manage it. And I wish I could remember what it was called, because I played a little bit of it.
It was the game show one, kind of.
Yeah.
What was it called? Oh, somebody
down a little
I
while
think
back.
think that says a lot, that we don't even remember what it was called.
The culling.
This,
Culling.
there you go, culling. Because that wasn't that long ago that
Yeah,
came
it was
around.
about a year ago. It was about
But
a
it
year
just
and a half ago.
nothing changed, and things kept breaking. The smart thing that was done here with Player Unknown is he clearly, or well, I say he, it's not just him just sat there going, I fucking know the secrets to the universe and everything within it. And I think
does, because
going to revolutionise the industry. But like, you know, his team have like a shitload, or had a shitload of stuff in the pipeline. When they launched onto early access, they had months of content already stocked in the pipeline, so they can keep drip feeding it out through the early access process to keep people engaged and involved and interested. And there's new guns coming out, and there's these skins coming out, and there's this balance in there. We're going to add this new type of car in there, and we're going to, I don't know, overhaul this thing, blah, 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 blah.
I think vaulting is a big one as well. They're bringing in vaulting, and they're bringing in if they brought in, or are they bringing in like being able to actually look around walls and it give you decent cover and things like that, whereas that was quite difficult in some of the other games that I know that I played.
I think that's been there since the beginning.
Good,
looking around walls and
oh,
stuff.
there you go. It's the vaulting then, isn't it, that they're looking to bring in?
I think they just recently brought it in.
Yeah. And I have potato aim. I couldn't play this if I tried, so I'm so far behind on what it is.
Oh yeah, and a whole new map as well. Like that, it's just like
this is the city map, isn't it? That they're building.
There's like 3 new maps coming out.
Ooh.
I think.
I think there's
3.
one that's like
There you go.
very close though, like very close to actual release.
Their desert one, which is the city one, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. Oh, it's real. Vaulting isn't there yet, but it's super close. There you go. There you
But
go.
yeah, I mean that's a lot of content to have kind of chugging through during the early access period. It's more so than any other game that I'm aware of.
They just need to be a bit careful, I think, of how long it stays in early access, because I think that's a lot of people's concern now, is that it'll never be finished. And despite what people say, they like a finished game. They
But at
like
this
to have
point,
new content, but they like to have a game that is done. And all that's being added is extra things for them to have. You know, they want a game that mechanically is complete.
I agree with that, but I would also argue that it doesn't fucking matter at this point. They've got esports stuff going on around this. They're putting out content for free. You know, like new additional stuff like these maps and guns and extra shit that they've put into the game. It's all free stuff that they're just throwing into the game.
I will
Like,
say that I don't like the crate system that they keep putting in these games.
oh god no, they're toss.
Can you
and
explain
annoying.
that to me? Because I haven't not played
It's
it.
basically like a CS:GO crate or something.
Oh, right, okay.
Like every other battle royale game, like has a crate system, and they added one to this one, and I just
Well, it didn't. Wasn't that temporary? Wasn't that just to raise the cash for the Gamescom Invitational? I'm pretty sure that was to create the prize pool for that, and there were some unique items in that, and now it's gone away again. Question mark? Maybe
it might be
possibly.
gone now. I haven't played the game in
I'm
like
pretty sure. I seem to remember talking about it on this show at some point before Gamescom, presumably. Yeah, I think that's what that was.
but they have the key system and the crate system. And it's just
Yeah,
ugh.
the traditional shit sandwich of most games nowadays.
Right.
But yes,
No,
that's
it's amazing it's doing so well.
oh yeah, it's
really
really
is.
cool. And as I say, I think it's worth highlighting, even though I don't care for the game in any way, shape, or form. I think it's really impressive that while I still think that this entire genre is a buggy mess and a piece of shit and doesn't really work properly, and people just go but around any point that you make that's negative towards that game because they just happen to enjoy it and refuse to see anything further than that they enjoy it, and they just ignore all of the bad flaws that are in the game just because they enjoy it. But ignoring all of that, it's quite impressive that it's done so well because it's been managed well and it's been presented well, despite the fact that it is one of these games that does not work as well as people would like to think it does. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good time.
I can go with that.
Can we stop talking about PUBG now? now that I've had my breath rant.
Well, the problem is we spoke a lot about The Witcher, and then we spoke a lot about Overwatch. And now we're talking a lot about PUBG, and it's really interesting to see how we're kind of
I'm going to pledge.
along.
I'm going to pledge right now. Next week, I'm not going to talk about fucking PUBG. All right, that's it. I don't care if they donate £20 billion to every charity on the face of the earth. I don't care. I'm not going to talk about them.
That's fine. You can sit and be quiet then, and I'll finally get to have a word in edgeways. Let's talk a little bit about Mario.
Damn.
I deal with this every week.
That's the fun part. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Right. Can we please talk about Mario? Because I actually like Mario, and the fact that this story is even on our books baffles me endlessly. But let's go with it.
I think it's a great story. I put this on there very purposefully because I think this is a fantastic story. And it's the fact that finally, they've gone, yeah, Mario's not really a plumber. Because he's done every other... Well, he's not specifically a plumber anymore. He's retired from plumbing full time in order to pursue every other job under the sun at the same time. Because let's face it, Mario is probably more experienced than anyone on the face of the planet in so many different disciplines. I don't know. I just find this really cool. Because he very, very rarely actually does anything to do with a fucking pipe anymore, other than occasionally dip into one, which, as far as I remember, don't get me wrong, I've not passed any kind of degree in plumbing, but as far as I remember, plumbing doesn't directly involve dipping into pipes.
Depends how small you are, I guess.
I mean, I suppose I would fix one from the inside. But yeah, he's done like every other job under the sun. He's now going to start molesting humans and jumping on taxis in Odyssey, and going on archaeological digs or something. I don't know. Like, he seems like there was that thing in the desert where he's like sitting about in some ruins and whatever else. I presume he's going to be an archaeologist of some description this time. There's probably going to be some really horrendous Assassin's Creed crossover, because why not?
Because everybody's having one of those now.
The shots fired.
Well, everyone's having one nowadays, so why the fuck not? Just throw Mario in. Why not? It'd be a laugh. Won't ruin the franchise at all. Still so sorry. Yeah, I just think it's really interesting that he's now the do it all. He's basically a DIY man for every single job under the sun. I mean, that's great. He's basically everyone's dad. Like, it's just, oh, what? You need some shelves up? Ah, don't worry, I'll fucking sort that. Don't get anyone in. I'll sort out the shelving. Oh, a leaky tap. Ah, I've got that. Don't you call it like
no, leaky tap no more. He ain't a plumber no more. You've actually got to get a plumber in to do that one.
Well, yeah, the one job that Mario will outsource is plumbing now.
I love the dedication that Nintendo have to their characters. All these years, Mario has been a plumber, and he's not been a plumber, not in any way, shape, or form. But Nintendo have got this very strange, very unique kind of, almost like a bond with their characters, where their characters are this thing, and this thing exists, and it ages, and it visits these different places, and all that sort of thing. And it's really nice to see them have that dedication to their characters. You know?
Oh, did you see? What was that image of Mario that they put out where he's got like individual hairs in his moustache, and you can see like his pores on his skin and stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
the man's a fucking cartoon character, and you're going so far as to be like literally individual hairs in the moustache.
They care
Like,
endlessly about their characters, and I love it. I
yeah,
absolutely
and
love
I
it.
just love that a bloke jumps around a bit and bonks on people's heads and headbutts blocks.
You sound like me trying to describe Sonic.
He doesn't headbutt them. He doesn't headbutt them. Just letting you know, it's his fist. Just saying.
What's that?
Well, look, all I remember is from like playing it on my Game Boy from like way back when, where it just looked like he was giving himself like brain aneurysms every time he blocked. But
Just
like,
Concussion City.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know, which is fine.
That's okay.
'Cause he's a doctor as well, so
Yeah,
it's
he's a
okay. But yeah, I just find it fascinating that, you know, some lad that used to just jump around and hit things and whatever else, and that was about the entirety of his life and chase after a princess, has lore, and he's got a purpose to his being beyond, oh, there's a princess over there, you should probably go and, you know, like help her.
He's a go-kart driver. He's a golfer. He's a partier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sports player. Olympics.
doctor.
He's in the Olympics.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
with Sonic, no less.
You know, he's a tennis player. He's a golfer. He's
Yeah.
a janitor. He's a cleaner upper fella.
He's a
Yeah.
fucking UFC fighter and fucking like Smash as well,
Yeah.
basically.
Yep. He is-
He's an actor in the American movie.
Let's not talk
Oh
about
yeah, look at that denim. Look at the level of detail on the denim on the picture that's just been posted in chat.
What Mario's dungarees made out of? Denim.
That's still my favorite joke ever. Was
That is
it
a
me
lot
that
of
told
detail.
you that?
Holy shit. That's insane.
Was it me that told you that one? Because I freaking love that.
No,
joke
I've
so
known that
much.
one for a while.
Oh, I mean, that joke makes
That's
me
a
so
classic.
happy.
That one's stored on ice for any occasion.
I often struggle to tell it because I say the first din and I just fall apart. It's actually my favorite. But yeah, no, I love the amount of love that they've put into actually a lot of their games recently. I think the Switch has been really good for putting a lot of love into their characters. Breath of the Wild was lovely. That was a really nice experience, and a lot of the characters were wonderful. I mean, I followed
and the
Cass
game-
around to the ends of the earth, and the second that I heard the music, it was where, let's go. Bird waifu's here, where, let's go. Like, well, his bird has bando, but still.
It's fine. But also, like, the fact that that game drew on so many other games to make tweaks to its gameplay style in order to improve the experience.
Yep.
And that's pretty impressive, especially for Nintendo as well, who tend to be quite insular. Like, they're very much, you know, interested in the way that they do things and retaining that.
Yeah.
So for them to have, you know, really learned lessons from other companies is really kind of a sign of growth, I guess,
Yeah.
for them as a company.
And
Yeah,
there's a
they're
really...
going. Oh, they're just striving away from the if it's not broke, don't fix it thing. They're trying to do stuff, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because Breath of the Wild was insane. Like,
Yes.
it was so good. That was the first like Zelda game I completed because I
Oh, for
wasn't
real?
bored. Yeah. All the other Zelda games, I'm just like, oh, okay.
So I've only ever
Did you play them at
finished
the time?
3.
What's that?
Which one?
Oh, which one have I played
But I-
before?
Yeah, but like, yeah, and did you play them at the time,
Yeah,
like as
or
they
if you
came
gone
out? Because
back
I think
to-
that makes a difference.
I was really young, and I really didn't understand like stuff like that. So, like when Majora's Mask came out, I didn't really get it. So I guess that kind of plays into it.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Like, I think the majority of people that really, really, really love Zelda played them when they were young and got them when they were young.
Right.
Or, well, got them when they were out, rather, and really got the game, like understood where they were supposed to be going. And I think if you miss that, I think it does take a level of nostalgia goggles to retain the love for it. Whilst they are good, in their own right, and they do retain value in their own right, I think there's something to be said for it being time appropriate and not particularly aging that well.
I did do that with Twilight Princess when that came out, because that was on the Wii, and I got it then, and it just didn't hook for me like Breath of the Wild did.
Yeah, fair enough.
I struggled with that one, and Breath of the Wild was one of the ones where I picked up immediately and went, I know the story is that way. I'm gonna go this way and go and see what's over there, and that appeals to me as a player, and it's why I liked Link to the Past so much, because it went, the story's over there, but you can pop over this way if you'd like, and you can go and explore up this way if you'd like, and so that's...
I'm gonna dip out in any other direction but there.
Yep, Link to the Past opens and goes, hey, there are 3 different places you could go. Bye. And you're gonna go, oh,
back for dinner, bye.
okay, I'll and that was the first Zelda game that I fell in love with, and it's the one that I go back to time and time again, because it gives you this sense of, there's a story, there's a sense of urgency, but it's on your terms.
Yeah.
And I think Breath of the Wild did that very well as well, where there's this story and there's this sense of urgency to get to, you know, the apex of your story. But you do it on your own time, by your own merits, in your own kind of way. And that I really appreciated. And it was nice to see the universe and the lore get as much love as it did in that game. Like, it really was. I know that we're going to talk about a different Nintendo game a little bit later on, and I have so much love for that as well, because they gave that so much love and so much character, and it shows. And if they can carry on this trend with Switch games, and I'm hoping that, you know, Odyssey is going to prove me right, that we are seeing this love for, you know, the lore that they have and the characters that they have, and the Switch is going to be a great console to have, a great console to own, if it's not already, you know?
It's already luring me, and I was very kind of pessimistic about the support that the console was going to get from first and third party, but it's already starting to like really build up some steam, and that's more than I expected. So certainly at this stage as well, like, because it's still very early days for the Switch. So yeah, it's impressive to see how much support it's got.
Yeah, it's not even a year old yet, and
I take
it's
mine everywhere.
If I remember rightly, it has more, like, way more games on it than the PS3 had at this point in its lifespan.
I think so, yeah.
I remember seeing that stat. Even that was 3 months ago. So
I think it's way more than the Wii U even had.
Probably. Because we've got things like Kamiko's on there, and Demambo is on there, and oh, my brain has just died. I've been playing a load of smaller games on it recently. So the guys who made Faerun, I think their game is called Kamiko, and that's on there. That I'm enjoying the hell out of, just for these very small pick up and put down experiences. I mean, I take my Switch with me everywhere, so that if people want to play Mario Kart, it's there, and we've got, you know, controllers and things.
Yeah.
But it means if I'm having to wait, I can play these shorter experiences. And obviously I'm a big Isaac fan, big Isaac nerd. I play Isaac to death constantly. We're at 600 odd hours now, and I hate my life.
Oh no, I feel you.
Yeah.
I used to be just an Isaac streamer, but not anymore.
No, I.
You went into rehab, and you're making good progress, right?
Yeah.
I haven't played it in months, so we're doing good.
You're doing better than I am. I am still super frustrated every time my friends try to play with me, and I'm like, no, don't pick that jump. Okay, that's sorry, but that's fine. You picked that up. That's okay. That's fine.
You picked them up in the wrong order. Do you not understand how the things work?
That's when people pick up devil deals in the wrong order, and I'm like, can you not do maths? Like, so, you know, I've been playing a lot of these pick up and put down experiences, you know, when and where with my Switch, and it has so much value in that and that's not even considering, Splatoon 2, which is wonderful because it's more Splatoon, but it's tighter and it's better made and it's faster and the content carries more weight. Mario Kart, which again is tighter and better and flashier, and I love it endlessly. You've got Breath of the Wild on there, which again is great. I've been playing the hell out of Just Dance because I hate every fibre of my being and I want to put myself through that manner of torture. Again, it's one of the most responsive Just Dance games that I've ever played, and that means a hell of a lot for that kind of franchise. Like, they're giving that console a lot of love. And I have high hopes for Odyssey. And I'm just excited. And Mario Rabbids is my new love, and I love it because Rabbid Peach is my spirit animal, and I love her endlessly. She's wonderful. So yeah, it's as I say, it's nice to see they're giving so much love to their characters, and I think that's just Nintendo, isn't it? And that's cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn cool because you don't see a lot of that elsewhere.
Just give us a Metroid game. That's all I want.
Oh, we've got one on the way, haven't we?
Yeah, we got Prime 4. I want one now.
The problem is, like, logical me is like, don't get your hopes up that it's going to be wonderful. Don't get your hopes up that it's going to be wonderful. And then the other half of me is like, oh, I just want it now. It's going to be great. I want it. It's going to be wonderful, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that second part, that part in me died many years ago. I never get excited for games coming out anymore. Actually, no, Life is Strange. I got excited for that coming out because
that's you're 12.
I am actually Max. That's why I am a teenage girl. But I don't get excited for games. I refuse to because it's not safe. It's just not safe to put your faith in any game, especially not from the trailers.
I got excited for Sonic Mania, and that blew me away. It's so good. I still haven't finished it because I don't want to.
Yep, I feel you. I spent ages going, I hate Sonic games. I really do. I can't stand them. I can't play them. I don't understand why people like them. And I tried Generations, and I'm like, I could like this, but it's not great, and I don't like it. And I did a stupid, and I bought Sonic Mania on the Switch. And I don't ever want to stop playing it. Ever.
That's not as stupid at all.
Like, I just... Well, no, because all my other games are now like, why? Why don't you love us? Why aren't you... But I genuinely didn't like Sonic games up until Mania came out. And now I'm like, this game is great. Everybody should play it. Do you want to play it on my Switch? Do you want to try it? You can try it. Here, have it. Because it's wonderful. The soundtrack is gorgeous. The way that they've reused old mechanics but added to them is wonderful. The new levels are traditional but different, and that's clever as all hell. They've really thought it through. So yeah, I'm in the camp of I don't want to say no, I'm not excited for games coming out anymore. I want to say that I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'm hoping that wasn't a flash in the pan and we're going to get more of these great titles coming out.
I refuse to be. I'm not giving away my heart anymore. It's been broken one too many times.
No Man's Sky.
Oh god.
Aliens, Colonial Marines, got us.
No Man's Sky, I got that for free and I still feel ripped off.
But you can draw dicks in the sky now. How
I
can
go back to it.
Time.
I did go back to it for a little bit, and it's not as bad, but it's still bad.
But I'm not being funny. I can use paint. I can draw a dick there if I particularly want to.
Yeah.
I don't really need a standalone £40 game to draw a dick.
Yeah, you can use Astroneer for that if that's your kind of deal. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better experience. Anyway, we should probably move on because we are somewhat rambling around the subject of games in general at this stage.
Okay.
Here are some games that exist that I've once looked at.
Yeah, sorry, it's always me. I am always like,
it's always you.
Yeah.
It's never anyone else.
Nope.
It's disgraceful. Get off my show.
Yeah.
No. So it's a bit of an interesting one, and it's part of a trend that I feel actually, because I heard some whisperings and mutterings around this when I was at E3. Interestingly enough, and that's that. There's going to be some esports arenas popping up around LA, over in the good old US, Blizzard are popping open their own Blizzard Arena Los Angeles, as it's catchily named.
Can I just point that I've made a mistake here, and the footage that you can see is League of Legends, and I am fully aware that is not a Blizzard game.
Talking about esports in general, don't
right?
But
the what we've linked in chat is to do with Blizzard opening their esport arena in LA. I promise, I don't think that League is made by Blizzard.
It totes is.
I promise.
It's League of Heroes.
Yeah, there you go. This is not HOTS! I'm sorry.
Storms.
I will record some HOTS gameplay later, and I will superimpose it over the... No, I won't. That's a lot of work.
And apologise to the entirety of Australia.
Yes. Yes, I will. Sorry.
But yeah, so they're popping open this esports arena in Los Angeles. So there's a few different spots that are opening up in LA. So I spoke to what they call Media Motion, I think the name of the company is, who do like esports watching chairs, which are like a 4D experience sort of chair thing, where that links into the esports game that you're watching and kind of turns it into a 4D experience. And it's kind of weird, but it kind of works. I sat in one and watched them play some. Was it Vainglory?
I like Vainglory. The mobile MOBA. There's a lane at the top and then a jungle at the bottom.
Yeah. So I watched them play some of that, and it was linked into this 4D chair thing that's like juddering about and whatever else. And it went with the attacks that were happening. So if they kind of recoiled, your chair kind of recoiled and stuff like. And it kind of worked, but they're involving themselves in turning like cinemas into micro esports arenas. So they fill the cinema with their chairs, which are like these 4D chairs, and there's like a pop-up booth that comes at the back that comes with all of like the streaming and recording and announcing stuff. And whatever else that you would have along with that, you know, like the PCs and whatever else, capture all the footage and put it up on the big screen and whatever else. And then at the front, they've got a pop-up sort of area for people to game on and actually do the stuff. And they are involved with, I think they're called like the Hollywood Steelers or something. I think they've called themselves, who are some esports team of some delineation. And so it seems like there's a scene that's really popping up in LA of like this is going to become like a new big esports hub. And I think this is Blizzard hopping on board with that. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see the all kind of, well, the reason I called this kind of esports wood is like, is this going to be like the capital of esports in time? Like that's interesting. The actual story is basically, there's going to be an arena there that Blizzard own. This is about the depth of that story. But it just gave me an opportunity to talk about how stuff's moving over there.
No, there's a lot of stuff going on, even over here. So BBC Three do esports now. They do esports coverage. Sky Sports over here do FIFA coverage, and in bigger game stores that you go into, and Game is it's our primary video game retailer, physical retailer in the UK. A lot of their stores now at the back have a LAN area, and they hold tournaments in said LAN area. And a couple of them, I know that the Cardiff one has a screen then behind sort of the tills in the store, so that if there's a particularly good match going on in the tournament, you can watch it on the screen behind the tills as you're buying stuff, which is kind of cool, I think. They've got their own team. Game has now jerseys, so if you make a team to take to a game store, you can buy matching jerseys for your team.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool.
To go and play. It's called Belong. The whole thing is called Belong, and yeah, you can buy these shirts in different colours so that you all match to go to these tournaments. And stuff like that is pretty cool to have in locations like that in the UK, because as opposed to like the US,
we don't really have that sort. We don't really have anywhere prominent that you would go to do that. Anywhere that's known to get jerseys and stuff like that from. It's like an online store for a specific team would be the only way I'd know how to get them shipped from the US, maybe.
Meta
like that
would be it, I think.
Yeah. Like, we don't really have anything that's prominent in the UK like that. So they're doing well with kind of delving into that. I think I actually know the guy that's probably involved in that as well, which is interesting. They used to have a big land area in the H&B at Oxford Street as well. It's not Oxford Street. It's the one that's in the Trocadero, or just off the side of the Trocadero, which was a big games arcade previously.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah. But that was
yeah, me too.
That was a similar sort of thing. Like, that was a big old like gaming area. You can just rent PCs for as long as you wanted to play with and whatever else.
The only problem with it is it's expensive. But Popsky, would you go and watch like a competitive match of something if it was in your area?
I've been at like MLG and stuff, so
Neat.
Definitely.
What games do you watch?
Well, that was back in the day. It was like Call of Duty and StarCraft 2, League of Legends.
Yeah.
The evergreen League of Legends.
The god League of Legends. I'd probably go watch some Halo tournaments, maybe.
Was there still much of a scene for that?
Probably not anymore, but there's a new game coming out next year, probably. So
yeah, should pick back up hopefully. Although it wasn't 5 quite poo for that. Like, it didn't really.
I'm not
I
sure.
believe so. I think so. I think that didn't really get much moving, but fingers crossed. Oh, yeah, apparently Rainbow Six is quite good to watch, like competitively, because that's like really super like anally retentive. Allow me to look at the way that the light is glistening on this pixel for me to tell where the enemy is, sort of level plays.
See, I always used to like TF2 for that. TF2 competitive is totally different from like how people play TF2, and that is proper like hold on to your seat kind of like listening very carefully, like that got proper weird. So yeah, no, I can see Rainbow Six being good like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find it interesting that they're kind of really like for spaces to do esports arenas with, and any kind of esports stuff. It really does seem like people are being drawn over to LA. Like someone, I think it's MPR pointed out in chat earlier. Riot's already got HQ over there and whatever else, so it kind of makes sense because of that. And Blizzard are only up in Anaheim, which isn't terribly far away. It kind of makes sense, I guess, but it's just kind of cool to see, there's another sort of player in the game kind of coming to the same location, and it's one of the big boys, it's Blizzard themselves are actually bringing it across with like their suite of esport games, basically.
Yeah, esports is blown up for sure. Like, if it's going to be, they're talking about putting it in the Olympics, like that's massive. That's insane.
Yeah, at least one of my sports then will be part of the Olympics.
Yeah.
That'd be good. The second one's never ever going to make it, I don't think, but at least the first one will. But no, I've always been into watching competitive gaming. And I think to bring it to a wider audience and to say, hey, no, we're here to stay. These are the venues where you can go and watch it. These are the teams. It's in your area. Like, that's immense.
Yeah.
And the way that they're going to widen out the audience now even further, because you're saying like it's blowing up, but if this whole thing takes a hold, it's about to get a hell of a lot bigger.
Yeah, within the next like 5 years, it's going to explode.
Yep.
You're going to see arenas everywhere.
Yeah, and that's super interesting. Like really interesting.
I think the thing with it is it's not quite crossed into the mainstream yet. Like it's in the mainstream for gamers, but it's not in the mainstream for people.
Right.
Whereas stuff like Call of Duty, for example, as a game, that's mainstream. Like people who do not play games will play a Call of Duty game or a FIFA game in the UK at the very least. Whereas they don't really have the same with esports because maybe it's just because of the high skill requirement for a lot of these games. But I think with games like Overwatch, which is a lot more accessible and was, I would say, at least reasonably mainstream accepted as a game,
Right.
You'll see the start of a bit of migration across some of the sort of mainstream audiences just getting into esports as a general thing, not necessarily just for a specific game, but that'll be their gateway into getting into there because they've already been exposed to that title as a casual game. Be interesting to see. The need is slightly beginning to become apparent, I guess, for more spaces for people to explore it. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be like football. Not everybody plays football, but sure as hell watch it.
Yeah.
Like with any sport.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, I've got horses, I couldn't do show jumping competitively, but I damn well go and watch it whenever it's on nearby. Every single time, without fail. I'm never going to be good enough at League to play it professionally, ever.
Right.
I'm never going to be good enough at HOTS to ever play it professionally. But you are damn right that I will go and sit in the front row and scream my head off the second they lock in my favorites.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I don't really play Overwatch, but I'll damn sure retweet all the memes that come up on my timeline.
Well, like, I was playing
get
Farah the other day. No, I was playing Farah the other day, and you were right behind me, like, yes, because you do.
You were making some good plays. I was impressed.
Farah's just quite jump shoot at the feet done. She's my favorite, and I love it. And when you pull off these big plays, people watch and they're like, holy shit, And the really nice thing I think about esports is because it's the same as as you say in football. You can get into it at a casual level. You can go and have a kick around, and never be good enough to be a professional footballer. But my god, professional play is so interesting to watch. And people do,
Level of technical skill is just almost inconceivable to me at least. I couldn't even imagine encompassing thinking in the way that people do when they have to, or when they're taking part in esports stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
mental
highest tiers.
But no, so good to see it coming, like finally being accepted as a big public thing. And I think you're right. In the next 5 years, we're going to see it everywhere. There's going to be arenas everywhere. There's going to be kids playing these games day in, day out, training hard, and their parents are going to go, have you practiced today? And that's really freaking cool.
I think it'll be more than 5 years before parents actively encourage esports.
But that attitude is coming. And for somebody who, as a little girl, was told, you will never get into the games industry, and, it was always joked that consoles had to be surgically removed from me and things like that. That's exciting. That's super exciting.
Yeah, but we'll be too bloody old by the time that it all comes in. We're not going to be the fetuses that are like at the peak of esports.
I haven't got to be at the top. I just want to watch them do it. I just want to watch these top level players and dream. That's all I want. Like, I can, in my heart of hearts, I know I'm the best Lunara player in the entire universe. And that's what matters. That's what matters.
Once you hit your early 20s, it starts going a bit downhill for your reactions and skill and whatever else.
We had if I can just deviate for a sec, right? We had a really interesting thing because I went to Friday Night Magic last week, and there was a kid there who must have been about 12, like 13 maybe, and his dad. And the kid, he desperately wanted to play Magic, right? So his dad had bought them decks and bought them cards, and they built stuff together, and they were going to Friday Night Magic to compete against each other and to play together, right? So I spoke to this guy, and I'm like, when I was a kid, my mom didn't want me anywhere near stuff like that. My parents didn't want me anywhere near stuff like that, because Magic was for people who, couldn't speak to other people, and it was all very... And he's like, no, this is what my kid loves doing. Yeah, that one. She's like, no, this is... He turned around to me and was like, this is what my kid wants to do, and if I can support him in that, that's great. I'm like, great, but he doesn't want to do, like, you'll forgive me for being like this, but your kid doesn't want to do science, or your kid doesn't want to, you know, run track or whatever. Your kid wants to play Magic, and he's like, yeah, I can get behind that. I can stand here and watch him play all day. I absolutely love it. And I'm so glad that that attitude is coming through. And again, with esports, it'll take a little while, but I can see it coming through, and that's so exciting. For me, knowing what kind of I went through, that attitude is so exciting to see, like hands down. I was kind of choked because this guy was like, well, I don't really play that well, and I don't really understand what the cards do, but I love it when he smiles. And sometimes he smiles when he loses, and sometimes he smiles when he wins, and when he gets a new pack and opens it, he smiles. And that means the world to me, and I'm just like, do you know what? You're a gem.
Yeah, I mean, that's exceptionally cool, Dad. That's not like...
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about you, Popsky. But, you know, that's exceptionally cool, Dad, rather than, like... I think maybe it's just me being pessimistic, but rather than it being a growing trend of lovely people, I think that's just that one guy was an absolute fucking diamond.
I don't know. I think we're gonna see more and more of it. And that'll be cool. That'll be cool to see. Anyway,
speaking of treating children well, enjoy the video for this next one. Well,
I don't want to change it over. I've changed my mind.
So happy that Pip agreed to allow me to have this meme as their fucking video. You have no idea. Nintendo had some woes. We're talking a lot about Nintendo this week, actually.
We are.
Nintendo had a few woes this week. Whoa!
You're my favourite, and I love you. I run through the house going, whoa, 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 like a lot, and Stu's just like, I can't. Why? Why are you like this? It's just like, because it's the best!
So, anyway, the news. So there's a company called iLife, or iLife Technologies rather, who basically claim that... I was just in the video. Good. They basically the Wiimote infringes on a bunch of patents that healthcare created healthcare developer of technology doodad
that one
created. So stuff around accelerometer to track like movements and surroundings and stuff like that. They basically were seeking $4 for every Wii sold ever, but eventually they settled out of court for, well, not settled out of court, but settled during the process for $10 million. I mean, it kind of feels like patent trolling, which is an unfortunately too common thing. Because they tried to argue that it was we were going to apply this to be used in relation to like elderly people falling over, and like some way of detecting when people that when they've done so as like a medical emergency device and whatever else. Doesn't really apply in the same way to someone waggling a Wiimote and nearly throwing it through their screen whilst trying to bowl a child at some pins. Right, it just it just doesn't quite add up, does it? Like, it's not quite the same. But yeah, $10 million Nintendo shelled out for that for 6 patent infringements.
I mean,
to which Nintendo went, all right, yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
Basically.
Well, if it had been the $4 per unit, it would have been 114 million.
Yeah.
So they got that down a fair chunk.
Right, but 10 million is still that's a decent amount of anybody's money. If there is anybody in chat or listening who thinks that 10 million isn't a lot of money, I could do with borrowing like at least 3.
I mean, if you want to split that, I'll take half. Like, that's fine.
But no, it's one of the poor, unfortunate things that Nintendo has to deal with, because they have a lot of these claims against them.
Yeah, like with the Switch, with the screen and controllers or whatever.
Yeah, and they had one with the GameCube before that. Yeah. Even maybe when it was the Dolphin, they might have had one with that.
Maybe.
But they tend to... Yeah, they tend to have these a lot. And as you say, it feels slightly like patent trolling. I've played the stupid game that relies on you having the Wiimote the right way up to swing the sword, and there is no way a Wiimote would know if I fell over. There is...
I mean, have you tried?
Yes. There is literally... I tried to play the Zelda game, which one is it? Skyward Sword? And holding the sword the right way up to kill the plants in the right direction is the biggest nightmare on the planet, and I hate it.
I played that at an EGX, right? And I strolled up to the booth, and they were like, "Here you go, you swing your sword and you win the fight." And I'm just there, like going, "No, come on." And they're going, "Oh, you got to make sure you're like near the thing. You got to stand just here." I'm going, "Nah, nothing."
I don't know. I just
having a stern look at his sword and wondering what to do with it, rather than actually using the fucking thing.
But it's super interesting that somebody came up with the concept of using that as a thing. I think that's a really clever way to use technology, though. I actually, as somebody who has elderly relatives who fall over and break themselves a lot, having a little alarm that goes off when they do that. What?
Are your relatives made of china? Is that perhaps a mistake you made?
Pretty much.
Did you buy a crockery aunt? Is that the problem that we're having here?
This one's broken. Send it back.
Oh, for fuck's sake! There's a chip in her now. Yeah.
Not mint. Oh no. Yeah.
No, don't take her out of the packaging. Don't. It's worthless.
So I always think stuff like this really interesting, and it's similar to the stuff that we had with the Kinect, which again, as far as I remember, had various patent issues. But the Kinect was eventually used for surgery, right?
It was used as medical.
Yes.
What?
So the guy who used to do a lot of Kinect stuff actually went off to work with the HoloLens and various Google mapping technologies, not Microsoft, Google mapping technologies. And the stuff that he's coming up with off the back of the Kinect is really cool. But I think it's super interesting that they want to use technology in that kind of way, but yeah, it does feel a little bit like... I mean,
no, it's not though. It's not the same thing. Even if the technology is somewhat similar, it's not the same thing. It's clearly not being employed for the same purposes, the same reasonings. Like, there's only so many configurations you can put some fucking nuts and bolts in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's... While I understand they need to protect their intellectual property, it's not protecting their intellectual property by doing so. Like, at no point were they going to make a Wiimote, and at no point were Nintendo going to go, "Oh, you know what this would be great for? My old deer keeps falling over at home, and I'm going to strap a fucking Wiimote to her." Like, it's just not going to happen. So, it chafes a little, I feel.
It worries me because, as you say, it's not the same application. I tried to... My poor Nan was the most wonderful Wii bowler in the history of ever, but it took her running the entire length of the living room and then swinging her arm to be able to get the Wiimote to do anything. If she just had a little tumble, I don't know whether it would pick her up or not. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, did it double up in that circumstance?
She was the best goddamn Wii bowler.
She only threw a spare. She must have gone through the fucking TV cabinet. Or like, is that...
I mean, she was the best fucking Wii bowler I've ever come across. And she must have been about 107 when we had the Wii. Older than dinosaurs. And she was the best Wii bowler ever. But she had to do a lap of the living room before it would go off. So I'm kind of...
She wasn't even playing Wii bowling. She just hadn't taken her meds, to be fair. She just like running around the table. But no, they were not the most sensitive of controllers by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, God, no. It's the same thing as like when you, like even now with your phone, right? And you go, and landscape, like, and then eventually it decides to flip round.
Or you're lying at a slight angle and it flips round immediately, and you're like, no, so you end up just doing this. repeatedly
Yeah.
because you can't quite get it to stay upright, but you also want to lie down a little bit. Like,
Or you try and kind of keep up with the screen and just throw your neck out entirely as it rotates round, and you're trying to keep track of whatever you're watching. Yes,
Yep.
I know the pain.
but yeah,
But it's the same, like that lack of sensitivity based on presumably an accelerometer of some description. Like that's clearly not the same level of sensitivity as Deirdre falling over in the living room, is it? Like it's just not. Anywho, let's roll on from Nintendo's way. So I feel like we've what was it, three times a lady?
that's the one.
Twice.
Yeah, but
We've
it's
spoken
about
about
to
Nintendo
be.
already.
But
It's
about
most
Nintendo
definitely.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe perhaps we should segue into more Nintendo while we're already here.
Right.
Segue immediately into more Nintendo. So the games that we've played for this week, Mr. Bobski, what have you been playing?
Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's my jam. It's kind of like XCOM, but for babies. Just kidding. It's It's actually really tough.
This game is
It's actually
really
really
tough.
tough. Yeah, it surprised me how tough it was. I thought it was just going to be a cakewalk, but some of the challenges and stuff are just insane. The story's kind of meh. Like,
It's kind of there.
it's just there. Surprisingly, the Rabbids don't ruin the game for me, because I'm not one for like just characters that are just
Loud noises.
just like minions from Despicable Me and whatnot. Like, but they didn't ruin the game at all. Like, they're actually pretty funny, and it's really humorous.
That does surprise me because I've always found Rabbids about as irritating as a septic testicle. So
Yeah,
It's
just
just-
it bums me out that you can only have like 2 of the Mario characters, and you have to have a Rabbid, which is kind of a bummer. But I guess they figured a lot of people would do that, so they made you.
yeah, that's it.
Place
Ubisoft mandating
Yeah.
like a quota of Rabbids to be
Right.
included in the game.
It's just it's a good game. Like, it's way better than I wasn't even gonna play it. I was like, I'm not playing this. There's no way. And then I read the reviews for it, and I was like, all right, I'll play it. It's Mario, so like anything with Mario, I'll try it out.
Like, isn't there some stuff like outside? Because I've caught like little bits of streams here and there, so I've not watched tons of it. But like, you've got the XCOM bits, and then you've got some running around a bits.
Yeah, there's like
stuff in there
there's
as-
like the overworld puzzles and stuff, which are actually pretty fun.
like traditional Mario sort of stuff.
I feel it's more like dumbed down Zelda puzzles, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, you match this color with this thing, and it'll move something, and then you can get to area where you get like art or music tracks or even weapons even. But other than that, it's a solid game. Like, 6 out of 10, not bad, you know?
Hey, in with the name drops.
Yeah!
I like it. Yeah, so it looks pretty cool. It's one of the ones that I'd play if I had a Switch. By the way, send me a Switch. But I don't have one, so I won't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a Switch seller. It's definitely like, when
If you
need to get
have
it,
one, it's
if
like,
you have to get it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
if you're into the like XCOM, which I never really was, but now I'm like, I should probably go play XCOM.
But the new DLC they just dropped for XCOM as well is like mental. Like, it adds so much to the game as well. It's basically like having another game.
Yeah.
And then there's more DLC to come as well. So there's a lot of stuff in there for XCOM as well. Like, there's a lot of content to go through.
Yeah.
So definitely worth a look in on that side as well.
But yeah, if you have a Switch, definitely like either get it now or when it's on sale or something, because it's great. It's way better than anything I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And there's like, when this game was announced and you saw the dev like cry whenever Miyamoto was like, this is pretty good, and the dude just like lost it. Yeah,
But
like
can
you could
see
tell there
why.
was,
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of love in it.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think Rabbid floating on a giant duck with a spiked collar in a toilet is my favorite moment so far, and the game is full of moments where you just walk past rabbits doing rabbit things.
Yeah.
And it just adds to the flavor of the world. It's really sweet. It's not imposing. It's not, look at these rabbits. Look at them.
Yeah, you don't have to look at them.
No. No, just walk straight past
Go
him.
through the entire game like that.
Yeah, Mario's like, yeah, okay.
Don't worry about that guy. I don't know.
No. But no, it's I've been playing it to death as well. It was going to be my choice this week, if you hadn't have picked it.
Sniped it.
And yeah, I genuinely love it. It's more difficult than you'd think.
Yeah.
But
That surprises me as well.
the weapons are quirky as hell. Like, yeah, it's good.
Well, they're guns, and like Nintendo was basically like, they can be guns, but they have to be like
Stupid.
just wacky. Yeah, they have to be wacky.
Yeah. So yeah, no. This.
So they picked like Fifth Element weapons, essentially.
Yeah.
A lot of comedic explosions, kind of just everything hidden in a cloud of smoke because, you know, can't be riddled with holes in a Mario game.
Right.
Right. Right. But no.
And the bosses are so good. Like they're pretty. It's pretty easy to like beat the bosses and stuff, but like the way they introduce them and stuff is just so good.
Yeah. It's almost kind of Borderlandsy in that respect.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah.
Like, you see a boss like happen, and it's like, oh, and then it gets a name tag, and you go, oh, you know, it has that sort of staged moment that kind of Borderlandsy games kind of have, you know.
I believe it's called a topper. You get a reaction and then a bit extra on top.
Yeah.
I will say that the music in the game is so.
Well, it's Grant Kirkhope, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah.
And I haven't. I'm gonna announce this here. I haven't said anything on Twitter. I did do a little thing, but I might be working with Grant Kirkhope on a song.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday about it.
That's
and,
awesome.
The
You heard
gears
it
are
here
turning.
first.
The gears are turning. So
Oh damn it! It's really annoying because I when I was playing the game, I had the soundtrack up, and Steve's into or like Banjo-Kazooie and things like that, and I was playing it to him, and I'm like, do you know, this genuinely sounds like it could be written by Grant Kirkhope. Like it really does. It's got that kind of
yeah.
And then I had to go and look it up, and he does. He has this distinct kind of feel to everything he does. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait for you guys to do stuff. That's cool.
The bell like chimey sounding stuff that he does. He threw in little bits of banjo, and you can hear it in some of the songs. And I talked to him, and I was like, "Did you put some banjo in there?" He's like, "I can't help it, dude. I just can't."
That's super freaking
nice.
cool. That's super freaking cool. All
Right,
right,
announcement. Boom.
Yeah.
Lovely.
sweet. All right, come on. What have you been playing this week? Sell this to me because I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
I've been playing Tokyo Dark, which is to give you an idea of where it came from in the first place, I suppose. So it's a Square Enix collective game. So basically, Square Enix has helped this game through Kickstarter and then helped publish this game, but that's as far as it's gone. So like they've had no meddling with the studio. They've not had any pissing around with them. It's just this is a game that this studio has made as published by them. And it's a weird hybrid of a visual novel and a point and click. But also it has that kind of telltale-y sort of element of your actions really do carry consequences further along. In you know, like the different ways that you react to different situations really do have a heavy consequence further down the line. There's 11 different endings, which again all branch off of those consequences. And the story is you are a cop, and your partner, who is your partner in both senses, dies, and you try to unravel the mystery around the reason why that happened and how that happened. But also you're having psychological breakdowns at the same time and questioning your own sanity and whether the things that you're seeing and whether the evidence that you're finding and whether the things that you're pursuing around this case are even real, or ever existed, or are they a sign of something occult that you've stumbled across that actually does exist, but it seems like it doesn't exist? And is it a delusion, or is it actually real and just incredibly unusual? The storytelling is fantastic. There was an incidental character that I nearly welled up at a certain moment, and you interact with them a grand total of about 3 or 4 times, and it like there was a heavy emotional sting with them, and it just baffled me, like that it was built up so well. And also you have the option of having cat-shaped pancakes in it.
Sold. Done.
Sold.
Yep.
I thought I'd save the most important part for the end. But there's actually some really good comedy relief in there as well, which I really wasn't expecting, because it's a very dark and gritty and difficult, at times a difficult game to play. Like, it's very difficult to get past a lot of the situations because they are really heavy subjects and really, really heavy choices to make as well, I suppose. But then there's just this really bizarre comedic relief that's just thrown in there, and it becomes very typical visual novel-y almost in places. Like it's almost like a sort of jab towards some of those kind of ugu visual novel sort of stuff. I'm gonna make you a meal master sort of stuff, you know, like it's very well done in my mind.
Okay.
Came out only a few days ago as well, so it's fresh off the press, and it's not horrendously expensive. I think it's 11, 12 quid.
Oh, that's
Let me
pretty good.
double check, but I will. Sorry, £12.23, 10% off for launch price. It will normally be £13.60. I think in Glando money.
That's probably...
How long did it take me to play through? It took me about 8 hours to get through.
1619
Oh, there you go.
over here.
Yeah, took me about 8 hours to get through, but there's replay value in there, which I will be going back for. Yeah.
$17.99 whenever it's not launch.
Okay. Cool. Okay, yeah, I need it.
It's got
You do.
positive reviews, so
Yeah, cool.
You do need it. It's very, very good. Like, I was just sat there, just reveling in how much I was enjoying playing it. And I haven't done that for quite some time with the game.
Sweet.
Ms. Pip, what have you
Yes.
been playing? Because you tried to explain it before we started, and I went, what?
Okay, so I've been playing a board game with 2 of my friends who live hundreds of miles away. This week, I've been playing a game that's a little bit older, but I do like bringing some of these slightly older games to the table. This is Armello. Armello is a board game about taking control of the country. It's a game about overthrowing the king to become the ruler. And you play 4 of you against the king, who plays in the center of the board. Now, the king has fallen into madness and is slowly dying from a curse called the Rot. So you take your turn and you choose to draw weapons, spells, or trickeries. Weapons obviously allow you combat advantages, defense advantages. Spells allow you to do things like regain health and magic, or offset certain difficulties in the terrain. And trickeries allow you to fuck over the other 3 players, and the king's guards, and the Banes, which are giant birds born of this sort of corruption, this rot. And the way that it works is that, as I say, there are 4 of you playing against the king. You can build up your combat power and defeat the king in battle. You can win a political victory where you have the most prestige on the board, so you've killed the most enemies and you've done the most deals, and you've vanquished the most evil. You can become more corrupted than the king, which is really scary. That's a really scary way to play it. Or you can find stones in sacred places across the map, and you can cure the king if you can find enough of them. But you always have to fight your way to the king alongside or against these other 3 players. It's actually really, really good. It's got 2 sets of DLC that give you a bunch of other characters, and similar to Civ, each character is good at a certain thing. So some of the wolves, for example, are really good at combat, whereas some of the bears are really good at magic and remaining pure and health and things like that. So you kind of have to play your character according to what they're best at. Again, similar to Civ. It's really good. It's very kind of Redwall, rather than Watership Down. It's very kind of medieval, rather than just sort of standard modern day. But as I say, it's very, very good. The combat is all based on dice rolls, and it gets tense. Joe fucked me over massively in a game, and then Matt proceeded to do so as well by altering one of my dice. Literally just one, and I almost threw a glass at my desk. It is Mario Party levels of really upsetting each other, and it's a great multiplayer game. You don't have to have 4 players. You can bring in AI players to fill the gaps, or you can play it single player. It's really, really good. It's a lot better than I expected it to be, and I adore it. I now own most of the DLC for it because I was having such a good time with it. And if you're in a call with other people playing this, yeah, it's a good time. It's a real good time.
Right. So, one thing I'm going to ask, because I'm watching the trailer on the stream, I see a quote from Kotaku on there, which, to be honest, I already trust about as much as I trust a pint of milk 6 months after its expiry date. But it's like Game of Thrones with animals. I mean,
yes. So
is it?
Yes. Because each class is good at certain things, you've got the corruption that runs through, you're overthrowing the king, and basically you have to build everybody else up so that they don't get in your way, but you have to stop them from getting to the king first. At one point, I was getting really close to the king, and Matt decided to play a trickery on me that unless I rolled the correct signs on the dice, I was teleported to the other side of the map and I died to go back to my clan and lost a bunch of prestige. And I'm
Jesus.
like, why have you done this? And he basically like stretched his arms out and went, because I'm going to kill the king. And it was this weird moment of oh, and the second people venture into the palace or start attacking guards to get to the king, you all sit up and play harder. It's weird, but it's really good. It's really good. And the character design is really cool. Like, again, you've got wolves in there and you've got foxes in there. You've got, there's an otter bro who is... with
an eye patch.
Yes.
The trailer. It's cute. Fuck.
He's one of the bandits, so he gets better the more people he kills. And then you've got a squirrel and a big bear who likes magic, and you've got a tiny little...
Hey, I'm a big bear that likes magic.
There you go. There's a tiny little rodent dude. I think he's like he's a rabbit, a very small rabbit, who's wearing like the biggest, clunkiest armor going, and he has a giant hammer. But he's so small. It's magical, and I actually really like this. I didn't have high hopes for it when the boys were like, "Oh, we ought to go and play it," but I really, really like it.
Oh, come out 2 years ago.
Yeah. This is an older one, and as I say, it's got about 2 sets of character DLC, and you can do things like you can buy dice colors, and you can buy reskins for the map to do with the seasons and that kind of stuff. It doesn't ruin the game experience. If you play with somebody who has the DLC, it unlocks the DLC for everyone.
Oh, that's cool. I like when they run stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Armello, if you have friends that you like playing like board games with and chatting away with and just doing nonsense with, Armello is a super, super good choice.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it now. It's 15 quid, Armello, but then you've got DLC totting up to, thought we're just shy of another 20.
But again,
of like the main DLCs.
If one of you owns the DLC and you play together, everybody has access to everything that you have access to.
Yeah, so you could effectively go around your friend group and say, "Oh, we'll just buy one piece each, and make up the numbers."
Yeah, so
I actually own this game.
Oh, you do?
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
As I say, it's pretty good for 2 or 3 games Is that the game on stream currently? Yes, that's our Mellow on screen currently. It's good for 2 or 3 games, and then you pop it away, and then a couple of days later you play 2 or 3 games, and you remember the last time that somebody dicked you over, and you shouted them for it, and then you put it away, and then, you know, it's great for that kind of thing. It's really good fun. It's really good fun.
Interesting.
So yeah, our Mellow. It's good.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Right, well, that being said, let's move on to our bigger sort of roundtable discussion for the week. And it's somewhat apt, based around our guest, I guess, really. And it's a discussion around how music can really drive a game forward and to really build upon the atmosphere and the feeling of the game. Well, I mean, Polsky's probably going to be one of the better guests to speak on the subject because you already have some music in some gamey things that right there, don't you, young man?
In a couple, they're mostly rhythm based, but
yeah,
even then.
So to be honest, it really does drive the game forward under those circumstances, given they'd be quite shit without the music.
10 times better.
But I guess there's a lot of games that do music really well, but there's also a lot that just don't really seem to bother engaging on that side terribly heavily, or like it feels like they could be doing more to use it as a tool to drive a situation forward. So I mean, a fantastic example is like Bastion, where like I almost feel like half the story of that game, or more than half the story of that game, is just told through the music and the emotions that are stirred by that music and the atmosphere that's built by it. And that game wouldn't be half of what it was. Like, the game itself is an entirely capable and enjoyable game, and the narrator is very, very good at building a world and a story around it. But the music really makes it and really adds that extra bit on top that just made it a fantastic experience. So, like, what are some of the titles that you guys really feel that has that vibe, that way that the music's pulling through the game?
Any like Elder Scrolls games do it for me.
Oh,
Like
for
with
real?
The really sort of tribal choral
orchestra
stuff.
and all that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't do it so much with like Fallout, because you get these like 50s tunes and you're running around just killing people with happy tunes. Just
that's perfect. I love it.
Again, that Mario and Rabbids, like the music in that, it's just it made the game like I said, 10 times better. It's, I don't know, if you have enjoyable music and it fits well with the game, like that's basically how you do it. What am I saying?
That's how I feel constantly throughout it's fine. And Pip, but like
there's probably 2 examples that really stand out for me, and one of them is Transistor. And Transistor was one of the first vinyl album of a game soundtrack that I bought, because a lot of Transistor's story that it doesn't tell you outright is told through the music and the lack of elements in the music in certain places. The addition of and lack of certain elements in the music tells you more about the area that you're in than the world does, and then the narration through the game does. And that's super interesting. And I actually recently listened to one of the boss fights from it, the very first boss fight that you come across. The music that you've just listened to, they changed the vocal track on it.
Right.
If you overlay the vocal track of that and the vocal track of the sort of regular version of that song, it's horrendous. The story that sort of extra layering tells you, like, eats at my heart. It's horrendous, and I adore it. So yeah, Transistor does an amazing job of that, because again, she's a singer who's lost her voice.
Right.
So a lot of the soundtrack as you go around, she's humming. And some of the tracks have words to them, and you'll flash back to a moment where that song had words, and now it might only have a hum or it might have nothing at all. And when the bosses kick in and the bosses sing, that's horrendous, because you're suddenly aware of kind of the music has been a theme this entire time. And it's not just her story, it's their story. And that kind of storytelling really kind of speaks to me. The other one that I really, really like is Valhalla.
Oh.
And the problem that I have a serious problem with Valhalla in that at the beginning of each day, you go to work in a bar and the game says, okay, sit at the jukebox. What music would you like to listen to today? And you build your soundtrack for that day. Takes me like 2 hours to play
Longer
it.
than the actual gameplay.
Yeah, longer than the actual gameplay to work out what songs I want to listen to that day. Because again, the music that they've picked, the music that they've written for it is so it tells you so much about the world that you're in, and the people who are in it. And again, some of the patrons will leave you music, or some of the patrons you'll use your phone at the end of the day and pick up new music, or go to the shop and pick up new music. So it tells you a lot about the world as you unlock each track, and I think that's super clever.
And some of the tracks are also linked to real world stuff. Well, sorry, that universe stuff.
Yes.
That there's a military outfit that's like they're there to help people, but they're also part of the military, but they're also not quite there to help people. But it's kind of muddled. But they have
like a peace corps. Yeah.
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 But they have a track based around them, and that's, I don't know. I just find that fascinating. Also, aren't they doing the vocal tracks for those soon?
And you know who it is who's singing on them, right?
I mean, no, I don't. Totally don't.
Who?
Don't know if I'm allowed to say, but it's gonna be. I don't know if she's announced it yet. Let me. But it's gonna be amazing. It's actually gonna be amazing.
What is good at the sing-sangs. You heard it here first.
It's me.
Yes, it's you.
I would say another good example of like music, like driving a video game, would probably be the new Doom that came out.
Yeah.
Well, that was designed that way, wasn't it? It was designed
to do so. With like 9-string guitars and all this crazy like distortion and stuff, and it's just, I don't think I've ever like just headbanged so hard while playing a video game. It's
impossible to see what you're shooting because it's really hard to focus.
And just with how dynamic it is, when you're like punching stuff or like shooting stuff, and it gives you that hard hit dynamically. And another Mick Gordon did the music for Killer Instinct, and
all right.
In Killer Instinct, if you're playing and you stand still, it gives you like this bass track, just like a beat and some like guitar and stuff. And if you like start smacking the shit out of each other, the music like ramps up.
Oh,
and
that's
then like
cool.
Yeah,
isn't that similar to what was done in Doom as well? Isn't there multiple players for how hectic that fight is getting?
Yeah, it's all like dynamic, and
that's cool.
So, and like before like you kill the other player, the music's just like at the peak. It just like ramps up to 11, and it's just.
And then the final kills are all sort of rhythmically based as well, like the combo.
The ultra combos are like you don't do it yourself. It's just like it just plays music to the beat of the hits or whatever.
Yeah, but like it's just a really neat touch. Yeah. Like you feel like the badass when you're doing it. You're just like fucking. Lay some beats on you, son. Lay some beats.
Yeah. The Mick Gordon is a god.
Yep. Oh, the other one that strikes me, actually, and I know it's a rhythm game, so meh, but...
Just Dance.
No, actually.
Really go forward.
Aero.
Oh, Aero, man.
So I listen to the Aero soundtrack sometimes, because Aero has a licensed soundtrack. It's a game where you play a ship that follows a little ribbon and shoots the bad guys to the rhythm, to the music. And it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful game.
And sometimes you go inside a worm.
Oh, and you shoot the giant spider, and it's wonderful. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. But I listen to the soundtrack of that, and I can't help but hear the shooty noises and the following the ribbon noise anymore. It's like I can't kind of differentiate them anymore.
Those songs are inextricably attached to that game now.
Every time I hear KTB's On a Mission, every single time I hear KTB's On a Mission,
are you literally on the thumbstick in your head, like?
Yeah, I can hear the bits where the enemies come up and the
yeah.
What game is this?
It's called
Aero. AERO.
And they're so intrinsically linked that I can no longer separate them.
No.
Which is super odd. But
oh, okay.
Really cool.
I asked somebody to put my music in this game. Never got back to me.
Do you know, I turned around to Paul the other day and went, do you know whose music would be really good for this? Popsky. And he was like, huh. So I ought to...
You two should get together and kiss.
Yes.
That's basically...
Because I would die. I would genuinely play the ever-living shit
would do it.
Of the game. Yeah. But yeah, no, Aero is good fun, and as I say, it's so intrinsically that I can't hear the soundtrack without like imagining the giant spudder walking across and doing the pew pews and things like that. I can't imagine it without that anymore.
Kind of reminds me of Thumper.
Yes.
Yeah, same sort of vein.
Yeah. Pip needs to get to violence. Apparently, yes, she does. I'm just trying to think what else recently.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Tokyo Dark has some pretty damn good music in it to drive story as well. Like the areas where you're kind of having stuff that's questionable occur to you, stuff where you're not sure if it's real or whether, you know, something really fucking bizarre is happening. It has like this really grindy EDM sort of stuff. Like this EDM, like it's almost industrial sort of music going on. Like, it almost sounds like a fucking Nine Inch Nails B-side at points. Like it's just like this really sort of grindy. It just sounds fucked up. Like it just sounds like what I would imagine their inner monologue is going to the beat of. And like the way that it kind of adds to your perception of the situation as to how much you trust what's going on and how much you believe that this is related to your sort of lack of sanity or maybe it's not. Works really well. Like it really kind of makes you sort of go, whoa, okay, like maybe this is just me and I'm about to spiral down into madness forevermore. Okay. So another thing to add on to my recommendation, I suppose, on that regard. What was that? I mean, like the Final Fantasy games always been pretty solid.
10 especially so.
Experience. Yeah, 10's very good. I really, I don't know, typical. I really appreciate 8 for the way that it does the music, and it's only because it has this repeated theme throughout most of the music in the game. And it's the main theme song of the game is duplicated in so many of the different tracks but it will be just one small portion or one small sort of what's the term for like a short little bit of music that's it's not a riff, it's like a
theme.
Like a small, I don't know, small bits of the song.
I was going to say, like, I only know the words in Welsh, I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. But, it's, you know, just different bits and pieces that are just sprinkled throughout loads of different tracks in the game, and it's part of the feeling of that wider theme, and it all kind of comes together at points later in the game, and it's very, very well done. and it's subtle enough that you can go through the entire game and never pick it up. But if you do pick it up, it really adds something to each of the situations that you're going through. One of the reasons why I do rate the game as highly as I do. What other games? I'm trying to think.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. Yep.
I never got many Kingdom Hearts games.
No, Kingdom Hearts is great. Kingdom Hearts soundtrack is great. And the way that it makes you fall in love with those worlds as if you were watching the films for the first time again is kind of magical. Just a little bit.
It's just good.
Yeah.
It's just good. That's all you gotta say. It's just good.
Yep. So Matt saying about Pro Skater.
I will go with Tony Hawk any day of the week because that is how I learned what my music taste was the Tony Hawk games early on. I found out that I enjoyed like hip hop from playing Tony Hawk.
I found out I liked rock music from like Guitar Hero.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But like the thing with Tony Hawk though, like, and why I kind of accept that as it kind of helps drive the game is it does give you a very skater feel.
Right.
Like those are the sort of tracks that I would later hear further down the line whenever I went past a skate park or anything like that. Like it's directly pulled from that culture.
And it works in that sense.
Yeah. Rather than it just being, I like these songs, they're really good.
Can I put a vote in? And I don't know whether I'm about to be shot down or not. I don't know whether this is a naughty thing to say, but Danny B's Isaac soundtrack.
Yeah, better than whatever they have now.
Well, yeah.
Hands down.
That's a good.
As soon as I started Rebirth, I was like, well, okay, and then it went on, and I was like, all right, this is shit. I'm gonna switch it off.
I'm so glad. Sometimes I want to say that when we're talking about music and things, and I'm like, I love Danny B's work so much, and I want to say the original Isaac score was so fitting for what the game is. It just captured that feel for me, and now not so much.
That's what makes Necrodancer so good.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
and the way it adds like the shopkeeper singing along and stuff, I just fucking love it.
All
Such
the
a
little things,
brilliant touch.
And then they have like pretty good artists like remixing
Yeah.
and putting that into the game too.
But like even that, I would say is adding and driving the game forward. Like that is part of the charm of that game.
Right.
They could have just slapped a song over the top of it and gone, "Oh, I have a dance around and kill some shit."
Right.
Or they've gone this extra step and really thought about it.
Yeah, the detail in it is wonderful. Yeah, wholeheartedly. I'm trying to think. See, this is the problem because I want to go back as far as we were talking about Banjo-Kazooie, and I want to go back as far as each world in Banjo. Not so much Tooie, but definitely every world in Banjo felt special, and you immediately connected with that world because you saw it and you heard it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, talking about jazz. Sorry. Contrast and Grim Fandango.
Oh, Grim Fandango soundtrack. Oh, so good.
Grim Fandango, and I'm massively biased because I love the game to death, but Grim Fandango, the messier and the dirtier the plot gets, the same happens to the jazz as you move through it. And that is clever. The jazz
also, it just
feels different each year that you play that game. It's wonderful.
And the part that I really appreciate about it is it just sets the overall tone of the game. It being as jazzy and like fucking good jazz as well, like throughout the entire game. It's not just it's jazz. It's got a trumpet. It's great. Like it's actually genuinely really good jazz of its own chords.
And it gets darker and darker as the plot gets darker and darker, and it takes on this. I've never been a big fan of jazz until I found that game, so I'm never sure how to describe it. But it almost gets sort of grimier and dirtier as you go through the game, and it's an echo of how the plot works. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
would say, like, for me, it just created a mood across the whole game as well. Of just like I feel, there's like that jazz bar in the game. I feel like I played the whole game from that jazz bar. Like that's kind of that's kind of how I feel. Like it just creates this overall vibe.
So yeah, it's a super important component of every game. But there are some games that just shine endlessly. Right. Yeah.
Poke show.
Yep.
Poke show. Undertale was good.
Oh.
Undertale had great music, but other than like one or two tracks, I don't feel like they added to the game's feel beyond just, hey, this song's fucking cool.
I would fight that to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah. I would fight that to the ends of the earth. From the repeating motifs that appear right at the beginning and right at the end and at various points in the middle where your character kind of takes a dip sort of morally almost. From the simplicity of places like home to when you go to meet Megaton and the music sort of gets more complex. Like there's a lot going on there. Like a lot. Just because you didn't listen to it properly doesn't... No, I'm kidding.
To be fair, it's been a while since I last played it or listened to it properly, so maybe I'm just misremembering. But I don't remember it affecting me beyond a couple of situations, like maybe 2 or 3 tracks across the entire game that I remember. But I specifically remember going, "Oh,
well, the problem
beyond, hey, this is a jam."
The problem that I have is that people are like, "Oh, Megalovania is wonderful," and I'm like, "But what about fighting the dummy? And what about where you rehear home for the second time? And what about when you're walking through the snow? And what about
Spider Dance?
Yeah, that one. Like, there's so many really cool moments all along the way. And with Megalovania being I don't know whether it's an homage to or whether it's a different version of some of the ROM hacks that he used to do.
Yeah.
Megalovania shines, but it shines as a version of that thought, whereas the rest of the soundtrack complements the game endlessly.
There's certain phrases in like the main theme or just put everywhere in all the other songs, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. And it is. It's,
right,
it's this cool thing of you echo as you walk through. You know. It's good.
How did we get this far without mentioning Persona 5 as well, with the differing versions of
the rain versions of them. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great.
So depending on the weather and also kind of in some occasions affects the mood. There are different versions of a lot of the main songs that play. So the main sort of just wandering around music has like this really kind of distorted, almost sort of sleepy feeling rain version that's just like super wonderful. Like it's just I don't know, it just feels like rain. Like there's no other way of putting it other than this track's that it literally feels more like rain than anything else. And like it, I know, like every sort of bosses / dungeons having its own theme as well. Again, kind of just characterized, like really added something to those individual characters, because all of the lyrics of those songs were linked to that character's vices and the things surrounding that character and how they view the world. Really, really cool. Like again, it was using the music as a tool in order to further that theme, and that really struck a chord with me. Pardon the pun. Yeah, I feel you're bubbling to suggest another one, Pip. I can see it.
I'm just thinking because chat's talking about things like the WoW soundtrack, and I'd agree there. There's a lot of places in WoW, like the second that I walk into Stormwind, I know I'm vaguely home. Which is a really nice feeling. We're saying in chat about Baba Yetu and the fact that won an award ?
Well, it won. It wasn't a disc.
Yeah, it won something, didn't it? And people were shocked as to where it
Google.
came from. And it reminds that reminds me of like when I got married. We played
Grammy.
stuff like to Xanakind, and we played music from Fable 2 and stuff like that. And I played it. I made the CD, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want. And I played it for my mother, and she was like, "Oh, this is beautiful. What's it from?" And I'd played it to Xanakind, and I'm like, "Well, it's from this video game. It's from Final Fantasy." And she cut me off and went, "No, you can't have it." And it's so nice to see all this music being accepted for being music. You know, that's pretty cool. She caved in the end. Because Zelda's Lullaby won her over, and she listened to Xanakin again and was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I can, yeah, that's okay, that's fine."
Yeah, it won Best Instrumental Arrangement Accompanying Vocalist, the Grammys in 2011.
Neat. That's really cool.
But yeah, it's really cool, and like there's been a real push towards bringing game music into a lot more into consideration for a lot more awards since then. Which I find really cool because they should be like they're work part of their own accord. Like they're absolutely
it's still music. So
yeah, well, Classic FM over here did a thing where they would have a gaming music hour like once a week, and eventually that started just creeping over into they started playing.
Now it's just some music.
Yes,
like that's pretty much the level that they're at now.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
Which is.
But yeah, no, it's really neat to see everybody's like everybody's suggestions in chat, because we've had things like Command and Conquer, and Command and Conquer really sets the theme. Like that
some of those tracks are great though. Like even as low quality as they were on the disc way back then, they still sound great now.
The fact that Half-Life 2 used music super sparingly, so when you did hear it, you knew that was a moment, and then you would want it back. Killing Floor, GTA Vice City, yes, hello.
To be fair, the soundtrack from Flashback, was it Flashback FM on that one, or was it?
I think so.
I always forget which fucking station belongs to which game because they changed every time. But whatever the Super 80s station that there was, like the pop music station on Vice City, it was like the soundtrack to my teens. Like it just, I listened. Like, I used to pause the game and go onto the settings menu, so I could just leave it on play for the radio while I was testing the music volume. Just listen to this shit out of that. So good.
Portal and Mirror's Edge. If there was ever a song that told a story, it's that one from Mirror's Edge, right? Metal Gear. Like...
I will say one thing from going back to Mario plus Rabbids. When you're in the overworld and there's like these little like creatures and stuff like move into the music... It actually like moves to the beat of the music, which is, I was like, oh, that's nice.
Just those little moments that make you go, someone took a day. Like they actually went, you know what I'm going to do today?
I'm
going to make those guys groove to this beat. Fuck
like these 3 like ball creatures or whatever. They're like bouncing on a drum, and when you go like towards the drum, it like adds the drum to the song. And I was just like, what?
Cool. And that's so Nintendo as well. Like that is such a Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
That sort of attention to detail is great. I love it.
So while I think we should wrap up, I'm gonna put one more name in the pot, and that's Pyre. Now I know we've talked about Bastion, and we've talked about Transistor, and we've talked about Pyre, so I sound like ultimate fangirl.
They're good at what they fucking do. Them super giant lads.
There's a moment in Pyre, and it's everybody that I've talked to about the music in Pyre talks about the moment where the 2 musicians take up either side of a battlefield, and the music starts, and you do your 3v3 battle, and it's a very serious one. The moment for me was that you go onto your wagon becomes a ship, and you go and sail across the ocean for the first time, and as you go out into the ocean there's a chance to just sit and listen to the music, and Darren Korb sings it's either called Vagrant Song or Wanderer's Song. I think it's Vagrant Song off the top of my head, and it sets this odd, uneasy but hopeful moment. And everybody in stream went, yeah, let's play the game. And I just sat there for a minute and went, nope. We're just going to sit for a minute. Because it made me feel genuinely uneasy about moving forward.
Because it added to the sort of the split, not split morality, but like the split feeling that you have about each of those battles. Well, not battles, matches, whatever you want to call them.
It was slightly hopeful, but it was also this weird unease because you were in a completely new area and you were just following the lead of these people who maybe knew the way. They'd heard about it. So we were just following that trail. And that was a really cool moment. So yeah, there's lots of these beautifully, beautifully written moments that... Yeah, we're doing better and better with each iteration of video game.
I have one more.
Go for it.
Okay, in BioShock Infinite, when you first get to Columbia and you're going down that elevator, and the hymn-like song, the Will the Circle Be Unbroken, when that hit the first time I heard it, I was like, this is gorgeous. And it set the tone for like the beginning of the game, not so much like the entire game, but
yeah,
I just like, I did that like slow walk that you do around.
Yep. You can do a lap around in there, and I think I must have done about 3 of them to just kind of take that in for a minute, you know? Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
So good.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so with that done, I guess there's only one thing left to do, and we do this every episode. We need to name this episode. Traditionally, I go first. So yeah, why was this episode 6 out of 10? I kind of don't know what to go for this week. I might go 6 out of 10 gagging slug princesses. I will be honest.
The gagging cutscene, I think, is.
Yeah, we might go somewhere along
gagging
those kind of
meat. I mean, that's if we really want to go down that path. There was mention of the HTC Vive earlier on as well.
6 out of 10 HTC Vive.
And I think we'll take some votes in the chat. While we let chat vote, do we want to talk about what we're up to this week?
Yes, absolutely. Oh god. No, I think that's the best one. 6 out of 10 need to sue Nintendo for more money. Awesome. So,
I spoke some words today. Nintendo spoke some words, so they owe me.
Popsky, where can people find you and what are you up to this week?
Stuff. You can find me at twitch.tv/Popsky. I stream sparingly. I've been working on music for other people right now. So once I get that done, I'll have a set schedule and everything. You can find me on Bandcamp. You can find me on SoundCloud. All of it's Popsky. I have an Instagram, I think. Something like that.
I took a picture of a sandwich once and it was there and that was about it.
And Twitter, Popsky. Everything's Popsky.
Do you just walk around just shouting your name?
Popsky! Popsky! Like I'm trying to find myself, yeah.
I was gonna say, are you trying to find your son?
Jason!
Jason! Oh god. Alrighty. Sam, what are you up to this week?
Oh, whatever I get up to be perfectly honest, I am the man that never has a plan. So I'm back to work from this week, so I don't know. I'll probably stream tomorrow and play a game. I don't know what yet. Basically, I'll have a scroll through my Steam for about 6 hours and then go, oh, I suppose I'll play this, and then stream that, as I tend to do. I've got nothing planned. Next week's podcast is quite likely to be a meme, but we'll see. Because Pip is about to tell us why.
Yeah, I get to be naughty this week. So, on Monday, I'm leaving for Canada. So, tomorrow is my packing and drying clothes and endlessly realizing that I don't have enough underwear day. Also, I don't know where I think my passport is in my box. I'm going to have to go and grab that. So, yeah, Monday I'm leaving for Canada, which means we're going back to vlogging. If I vaguely remember how to vlog, we're going to do lots of vlogging, which unfortunately means that there's going to be lots of vodcasts. If you go and follow twitch.tv/Potato, you might see me walking around in the background of his streams, like lifting his cats and singing at them, as I am often wont to do. Yeah, this week's going to be a bit of a casual one, unfortunately. But we are going to do vodcasts, with the hard, where once I've put some vlogs and bits and pieces together, we'll all sit down and watch them together. Because I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah.
But it should be good fun. I'm going to vaguely try and remember how to be slightly entertaining on camera.
Basically, it's like doing this, except there'll be 2 less people.
Yeah, but that's the bit I struggle with. Because if I can't shout abuse at you... well,
You shout abuse at me, I just won't hear it for a bit. That's fine.
But yeah, no. This week's going to be an odd one. Twitter and Instagram are probably your best bets to catch me this week. I am TinyPixels with 2 X's. On Instagram, I think I have to be TinyPixels with 2 X's and then TV at the end. Because, of course I do. But, yeah. This week's going to be a bit of a bust. I don't know whether there's going to be a podcast yet. As soon as I know...
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know. But, as always...
We will try our damnedest.
Yeah. As always, thank you so much to you guys in chat, to you guys who are listening in on all the various platforms. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Popski, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Speaking of which, Popski's suggestion, 6 out of 10 gagging princess, brackets not clickbait.
Not clickbait? Yeah, I feel it's a good addition to there. So yeah, let's round out today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Hopefully we'll be back next week with more guestage. But if not, please rest assured that we'll be back the week after. Convention season is actually going to cripple me, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best. Guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.